Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. Padres are in Arizona getting set for Game 1 of their series tonight against the Diamondbacks. It's going to be Michael King going against Brandon Pfaadt. First pitch is at 6:40. And the trade deadline has just expired about 45 seconds ago. Earlier today, the Padres acquired left-hand pitcher Robbie Ray from the Giants. The Giants also shipped Luis Ariz to the Philadelphia Phillies. The Red Sox are acquiring three-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman in a trade they pulled off with the Orioles. And a lot of just other smaller moves, and that's about it for the big ones. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business and call 844-844-iHeart.
Last time on Schaefer and Sliwa.
What's the right long-term thing to do if you're the San Diego Padres?
Long-term, it's easy. I don't even have to say it.
Okay, what's a long-term thing? What's the right?
I'm not even going to say it.
No, it's okay. Say it.
The long-term is to sell. Long-term.
And why are we making a case to buy?
The same reason why people day trade and don't always put money in 401ks. Same reason. Because day traders are looking at more the here and now, even if there's more security and what's going to play out over the next 20 years.
Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
Yes. Christmas Day for baseball fans, Alan. Trade deadline is here.
Oh, yeah.
And just under the gun, Brent just told you about Robbie Ray.
Yep.
Now we learn another starter heading to San Diego. They address their needs, or at least some of them, Alan. Casey Mize, right-handed starter for Detroit, a 2.7 ERA in 16 starts. We'll wait on the return, but Casey Mize joining Robbie Ray as the newest Padre.
I like the tweet because was it Heyman that put it out
John
there?
Heyman that had it first.
It just said Casey Mize to Padres,
It's
right?
that time of the day.
Yeah, but I like that it just said that. Like, I don't.
You don't want to see the return.
That sounds great. Like, let's just leave it at that.
Yeah,
why do we have to
I
send
agree with
something
you.
back? Can't we, is there a little barter here? Take care of some things?
Can we have them? Like, we'll hook you up another time.
Two
How about
starters?
this? Two legitimate starters, not the Rich Hill from years ago, the 44-year-old whatever. Robbie Ray, we just saw. Alan, we talked about him the other day. He pitched very effectively against the Padres.
It's their only L over the last nine games. 8-1.
8-1.
Robbie Ray.
And then Casey Mize,
Yeah.
if you would have told me they added not one but two quality starters, front of rotation starters, I would have been impressed. Now we'll wait on the return. I mean, it's easy to say in a vacuum.
Who the hell
see what
went?
they gave up.
Who the hell went, AJ?
And is there anything else under the gun? Because we got this at 302.
Right.
I came in at 302. Is there anything else under the gun?
Right. There could be. I think from if I'm correct on this, they can still finalize these deals. So there could be deals still in play. So just because it's 3 doesn't mean nothing else can be announced.
Correct.
These are tough. Like these are tough to assess because when you're giving away prospects that are so up in the air, we have no freaking idea what the hell the Padres just gave up. So I think just trying our best to address what the Padres are getting in, and we know how desperate they are for starting pitching. And by the way, there could be some good news coming in regards to Joe Musgrove or Nick Pivetta or potentially both of them. But we're not going to know that, obviously, prior to the trade deadline. We're not going to know that for a couple of weeks, maybe another month or so.
Good point.
But can you really do anything without starting pitching? The answer is no, you cannot. So they have figured out a way, over the course of these last 2 weeks to just muddy the water and figure out how to get through 9 innings in each game. And it does not look pretty, but you've had a lot of these guys. You took the pressure off some of these Marquez and Cannings and kind of go down the list of all these starters that you don't have that much confidence in. They added not just 2 starters, like you said, 2 legitimate starters.
Preller answered your question. You're right. You can't do this. He doesn't believe pitching chaos is going to be the ultimate solution. He's added 2 legitimate starting pitchers. We'll wait on the return from Casey Mize. This from Jeff Passan, by the way. It was John Heyman who added initially. He says the Padres are the big buzzer beater. They're acquiring right-hander Casey Mize from the Tigers, sources telling ESPN. So Jeff Passan calling it a buzzer beater. He's had a very good year. Again, 16 starts, a 2.7 ERA. The deadline story is going to start with Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers from Saturday night. But there have been
happen?
That did happen. Did you miss that? He got moved. But I will say this.
Shock.
We said what? Padres, maybe the 30th best system, a.k.a. the worst.
Yeah.
Still able to add real value at the major league level, despite the fact that they went in handcuffed. Maybe it speaks to A.J. Preller. Maybe it speaks to the fact that it wasn't a seller's market at the end of the day, and there were a lot of opportunities to buy starting pitching.
Could there be an advantage when you have such a poor farm system that the players you have in the farm system, if they say number 4 and number 9, sound like they're ranked a lot higher than they really are?
Yeah, it's a good point, because
you actually were telling me, where did these guys jump into the Giants farm system for Robbie Ray?
13th and 21st, but 4th and 9th for the Padres.
Huh?
The return, by the way, that the Tigers are going to receive. What's the Mize contract status? We need to figure that out. He is only signed through this year. He is a rental making no money. He's only owed about $2 million remaining.
All right, talk to me.
The return includes the top pitching prospect for the Padres, Cash Mayfield, the former first-round pick, along with Jackson Wolf. This is per Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, who will join us later on during today's show. So it's a trade. It's always going to be a risk-reward calculation. And today the Padres ended up trading away at least 3 of their top 10 prospects when you include Cash Mayfield. And I don't know where Jackson Wolf is on that list, but I will find out.
Yeah, I'm trying to look too.
Yeah. So to your point, it looks good until you know what the other side of the trade looks like. And now we're learning a little bit about it.
So a rental on Mize as well?
Rental on Mize.
Mm-hmm. Look, let's call it exactly what it is. They're in a desperation window, and whatever the cost is to keep that window open, they're paying the price of whatever that window is. And I think at the end of the day, the only thing you're going to be able to say is when the dust settles, are you looking at the Padres potentially making a run this postseason? Or are you looking into a wild disappointment where you traded for 2 rentals and maybe Philly and Arizona got in? So we're not going to know. But the one thing that I know I've said in the past is I don't want them to be reckless. Trading away your number 2 prospect. Was he number 2 overall?
Cash Mayfield, I believe, was number 2 in the
overall
organization. Let me confirm it, Alan. He was number 2, the left-handed pitcher, the former first-round pick
that fits
of the Padres. It fits last year he gave up his number 1. Mm-hmm. This year he gives up his number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we thought maybe he would dip his toe in the water. He's not a dip toe in the water guy, if you think about it. I mean, this isn't a bunt. This is a real swing. I'm not saying it's a grand slam, but I mean, he's taken some aggressive swings.
That's all he does. I mean, really, to be honest with you, that's all he does. So, yeah, listen, I at this stage, let's see what these players do when they come in. You got a pretty stacked NL that you're going up against. And if you just forget for a second and pretend like the Dodgers and the Brewers don't exist, even though I know the Brewers I should not have in that same conversation. Sure. But if you just take away those 2 teams for a quick second, or just take away the Dodgers, put everybody else in the mix, it doesn't guarantee the Padres anything. Miami's a half game behind them. They're still a game back behind Arizona and behind the Phillies. Phillies made a lot of moves today. I think Philadelphia is only going to get better. Cubs made moves. They're already good. Atlanta was pretty active as well. So a lot of these teams in the NL were active, and I get it. I'm sure there's a lot of teams out there that want to do business with A.J. Preller because he's one of the few that is not he's not worried about taking chances.
Casey Mize, by the way, was the former first overall pick in 2018. So a first overall pick. He is a true rental. Reading some of the reports on social media, it appears as if his velocity has been down. His numbers are really good. He threw under 92 on his fastball in his last start. His average fastball velocity was 91.8 or 91.9 miles per hour. Not overly encouraging from that perspective, but especially for a right-handed pitcher, it's not a lot of righties in the big leagues throwing 92, typically in the mid-90s, but proof is a little bit in the pudding. I'd say that about Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray may not have the best stuff in baseball, but the end result is he's got a 3 ERA and a sub-2 ERA in his last 10 starts. So they're adding starters that have been effective now, not 3 years ago. Not that you're betting on the come, like they're effective now, and we'll see if that translates in the final 50 games.
So how should we look at this? Like, what now becomes the
bar?
Yeah, because, I think last year was a great example. A.J. Preller raised the bar by going out and making all those trades that he did, including Mason Miller.
Right.
And you paid for them. You paid for every move that you made, you paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, by the time the regular season was done, you're like, that ain't cash out. Then you go play the Chicago Cubs. And I think that series did just simply come down to, were you home or were you in Chicago? You were in Chicago and you were out in 3 games. So I would tell you that didn't pan out. My expectations changed when the trade deadline, and it didn't pan out. And that's going to happen. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. What do you think these moves, what does that now require the Padres to do in order to say, hey, I think that was worth what the Padres put into it?
I love that question because the prerequisite is the postseason now. You have to outrun Arizona and Miami. But you have to outrun Arizona. Forget about Philly for a second. You may outplay them, but you have to outrun Arizona.
It's Arizona. You're right.
You have to get in. But to your point, here's what they're staring down in all likelihood. Either the 5 seed and going to Chicago again, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, but this is what they're looking at. This is the math they're doing. They're either the 5 seed going to Chicago or the 6 seed going to Atlanta. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're forecasting for. They're not forecasting to win a division. They're not forecasting for the top wild card. It's possible. Cubs are 5 games in front of them. It's possible. It's unlikely. So that's what you're looking at. So have you made the moves that allow you an opportunity to win a wild card series in Atlanta or in Chicago? That's very arguable.
Well, and the reason why, I'm asking that question is because, all right, well, what are they doing this all for? And by the way, you could say this. I think what you can say, and I'm okay with this, if somebody's making the argument saying, listen, they are making these trades to make the freaking postseason. And anyone that's in has a shot of doing something.
Sure.
Doesn't guarantee you anything. But if I just want to have the proper expectations, because if they don't make the playoffs,
that's a failure.
That is a utter failure.
Yeah.
By the way, it would have been an utter failure even coming into the season. So there was a little bit of just make the postseason, but it'd be a failure. If you make the wild card and you're out in 2 or 3 games,
it's not great.
I mean, what did you really accomplish?
Right.
Now, if you're able to get through the wild card and now you're giving yourself another, you can call it a legitimate chance of potentially making it back to the NLCS, I think that's probably, that's more of the conversation of saying that this is how you take your chances, get in the postseason, and the more of these heartbreaks that you can have, the closer and the better shot you have of actually making it back to a World Series.
And to your point, like the whole Pivetta conversation, I don't necessarily have the Musgrove conversation right now, but like your top 3 starters, if you make the postseason, which is what they're forecasting based on these moves, you've got Michael King, you've got Robbie Ray, you have Casey Mize. You got a shot. Like last year in Game 3 against the Cubs, they threw you Darvish, who has since retired. Like think about it, your Game 3 starter. Dude couldn't give you like an inning. He was so ineffective.
The whole Michael King situation.
Yeah, last year as well.
For the final whatever.
But all of a sudden you've gone from like Walker Buehler as your number 2 starter to Robbie Ray, a veteran guy who's having a really good year. Maybe your number 3 all of a sudden is Casey Mize. Your number 3 before didn't even exist. Mm-hmm. And you did it all without giving up Ethan Salas, which again would have been absolute negligence probably in a rental conversation. But with AJ Preller,
with your number 2 prospect.
That's the but
you
with
can
AJ
say that
Preller,
with your number 2 prospect.
Yes, you can. I don't know enough about Cash Mayfield. Sure, I just don't. We should ask about what they have given up, and obviously to get a player of the caliber of Mize, it was going to take a return, even though he's a rental. So has he overpaid here? That'll play out.
But that wasn't typically the philosophy from AJ Preller. Is if I'm going to trade top prospects, I need players under control for multiple years.
I agree with that.
That kind of he
changed the
equation on that one. Basically said, all right, let me eliminate that. And by the way, that could be also based on what he has to work with. That could also be based on how new ownership is telling them how much money we're going to take on. Like there could be a lot of variables into that.
David J. Madfriars, by the way, when he was with us last week, told us that some of what he has seen from Cash Mayfield and the other top pitching prospects in the organization has not panned out the way the Padres had expected. Take that for what it's worth. Much more reaction on the other side. I'm assuming at this point, 15 minutes after the deadline, supposed deadline, the Padres are done. AJ Preller will speak at 4 p.m. We'll bring a portion of that conversation to you throughout the course of Schaefer and Sliwa. Kevin Acee at 5:30, Annie Heilbrunn at 5 p.m. Don't go anywhere. Reacting to the Padres at the deadline, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Our San Diego Sports 760 has 9 chances to win $1,000 every weekday with the Bonus Bucks giveaway. That's every hour from 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. Listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com. Your next chance to win $1,000 coming up after 4 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760.
All right, what do you think about what the Padres have done at the deadline? Are they, in fact, done? We're past 3 p.m. Deals have still trickled in, but are they done? What do you think of what they've done? 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. 877-767-4760. I will say this, Alan. for the time being, it appears as if they've kept their major league roster intact.
Mm-hmm.
No last minute Morahones or relievers. Ty France, Mason Miller, obviously a huge name out there this July. For the time being, they've kept their major league team intact, just added to it with the 2 starters.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're going to have the bullpen you're looking for, arguably one of the best in all of baseball. If this is how it all pans out, get Jason Adam back, let Jeremiah Estrada, which we've seen a couple times now since he's returned. You're going to have one of the best bullpens. The question offensively for the Padres, is there enough there? There always has not been enough, especially in the postseason, but you got players playing much better than they were earlier in the season. But really, how they're going to be able to make any noise come postseason, you're going to be depending on your starters. 2 of them will be 2 new starters that are coming into the mix. And, some injuries, some players who have been injured, you're going to wait to see what happens with them. And if they're able to be a part of it, you're going to be winning games 3-2 in the postseason if you're going to win. That's going to be the recipe for the Padres. Now, they got to get there. But winning 8 of 9, that run there, how Craig Stammen was managing, Padres were treating each one of these games like they were already playoff games.
Yep.
And that at least just now puts them in the conversation again of trying to secure another playoff spot. So a long way to go for San Diego, but they did win 8 of 9. I had kind of questioned this, but it's just the reality. Coming into tonight's game against Arizona, what are they supposed to do? They're a team trying to win today. They're a window that it's not closed. It's certainly on its way to close. And you're 1 game back from 2 squads in the wild card. Like they almost kind of had, I don't even think you had to be that close for AJ Preller to be aggressive, but you're that close, that much in the mix. And I think the run with Arizona is a real, like, hey, that's a vulnerable spot that you can potentially pick up. And I'm sure Arizona probably thinks the same way.
Yeah, the funny thing about this Arizona series, first of all this attention obviously on the deadline, and the Padres, to their credit, understanding the importance of the series, moved Michael King back, and he didn't pitch against San Francisco. They win the game. Will pitch today. But it's so funny how we look at this. We may feel like, well, at a bare minimum, they need to find their way into the postseason. Well, then this is not a series you can go out and lose, right? The team that you're trailing by a game, if you were to drop 3 or 4, all of a sudden you're significantly behind them. You'd be 3 games back. Now, on the other hand, you go there and split or do better, and you're in a really good situation. They still play, by the way, the final series of the year is Arizona and San Diego here at Petco Park. But no, I am with you from 10 minutes ago. There is no acceptable result that doesn't include the postseason for this team. Like, that's completely unacceptable. There would be changes, presumably, if it didn't play out based on what has transpired here at the deadline. You have to make the postseason based on acquiring Robbie Ray, Casey Mize, giving up your top pitching prospect, arguably, as well, for 2 rentals. There's no other option, the way I see it here in 2026.
Every move that's obviously been a part of the organization, every contract, everything's the fingerprints of AJ Preller. Listen, I said this, and I don't say it lightly. There's a little bit of desperation here, right? There's desperation in the sense of they're desperate to make the postseason again. They're desperate to show their fan base they're in the mix. They're desperate to have meaningful games in August and September, and desperate to have some representation coming out here in October. I'll throw this at you, and maybe this is a little bit too early to do so, and we'll see what eventually happens. But you think Preller, is there a world Preller's kind of based on what happens here over these next couple of months, that Preller is, how the result of this goes, his future's on the line?
I mean, he got the extension, but it was under a previous ownership group. Who knows how much?
Which I always thought was weird.
Jose Feliciano had to do with it.
Yeah.
But of course, I would say in professional sports, I mean, it is results driven. It's a lot easier to buy out AJ Preller than it is Xander Bogaerts, for example. So yes, I mean, to your point, his fingerprints are the entirety of this. I mean, it's all on AJ Preller. Now the team's got to perform for AJ. Yes, it would be very disappointing if this team missed the postseason, wouldn't it? They didn't sell off parts that could have provided value. They gave up parts in pursuit of 2026, which means you only have one pathway here, and it includes the postseason. Even that might not be good enough for a lot of people. If you're the 6th seed and you lose in 2 or 3 games,
I get it.
It may not be deemed good enough.
By the way, I would agree with that.
Right.
Because there's a part of you that's like, well, then you never even gave yourself a shot. I mean, to play 2 or 3 extra games after the postseason, especially also if those games are not at Petco, which will be tough. Obviously,
True.
That's probably not going to be the case. You're going to be questioning a lot of things. But, yeah, I mean, this has kind of been A.J. Preller. I think you talked about this. The surprise was not going to be the Padres buying. The surprise was going to be the Padres selling.
Yeah.
He bought. Now, these 2 starters, I think if you're a Padre fan today, you should be excited about the additions, and let's see where the hell this thing goes. Because you and I are not going to be sitting here losing sleep over prospects that we just don't know about. Now, I could lose sleep a couple years later when I'm watching the Nationals. I could lose sleep a couple years later if I'm watching the A's in a couple of years and I see these other guys shining that were at one point part of the Padres, but you needed starting pitching. You were able to address that at the deadline.
All right, so Casey Mize, the latest addition earlier in the day, it was Robbie Ray, and that does appear to be the entirety of A.J. Preller's moves at this year's deadline. What's your reaction to those moves? Have the Padres done enough to not just make the postseason, but win in the postseason? 877-767-4760. We'll get your calls on the other side. We're talking to Kevin Acee, our Padres insider at 5:30. Annie Heilbrunn from the UT at 5 p.m. And Sean Lewis, Aztec Fall Camp is underway. He'll join us at 4:30. Stay with us on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres are in Arizona getting set for game one of their series tonight against the Diamondbacks. It's going to be Michael King going for the Friars and Brandon Pfaadt going for the Snakes. First pitch tonight is at 6:40. And the trade deadline has come and gone, and the Padres acquired two starting pitchers. They got Robbie Ray from the Giants, and right at the deadline, they got right-handed pitcher Casey Mize from the Tigers. In other news, the Red Sox picked up three-time All-Star Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Orioles, and the Giants shipped Luis Rise to the Phillies. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
Schaefer and Sliwa on this Monday afternoon. It's been busy.
Our boy back
Brent
in the house.
is back. Brent had Friday off. For the
Brent,
first time
happy
ever.
Birthday, bro.
Oh, he had a birthday last
Happy
week.
birthday,
Yes.
Yeah.
A rare off day for Brent, but he is here on this trade deadline Monday.
Our bad, Brent, because what day was it? What day was your birthday?
We saw it on the
Thursday?
board after that Friday. Yeah, it was our bad.
What are we doing? Like, how come we're not?
I mean, we're guys. You don't center your whole year on your birthday, do you?
I take a picture of everyone's birthday on that screen, that calendar.
I don't know anyone on that screen other than Brent.
I got two buddies that have birthday right around. I think one's like July 21st. The other one's July 24th. My buddy Robbie on July 21st. This guy, there ain't a birthday that doesn't get by where he doesn't call, reach out, how you doing?
On his
just want to
birthday.
wish you. No.
Oh, and yours.
I want to just wish you a happy birthday. I'm like, bro, stop being such a good friend. You're making everyone else look bad.
Yeah.
Not good.
I don't call anyone. I call my mom.
Yeah, I'm not good with birthdays.
But friends, I'll text.
Yeah, but we ran into him 7 times.
I know. Well, we didn't see
say
the screen that day. We saw it after the fact.
We probably saw it and just are that dumb.
Maybe, and we didn't put 2 and 2 together.
Yes.
That's possible.
Yeah.
All right, 877-767-4760. What do you think about the Padres deadline here? Robbie Ray, Casey Mize, players they gave up. 877-767-4760. Let's go to Dave, loyal listener on line 1. Dave, you're back with us here on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Well, thank goodness, guys, we can now get back and focus on baseball instead of this endless mind-numbing talk about what's AJ going to do. It's been going on since June, or June 1st, actually. And this seems to be the pattern that we slump into here with the Padres. I like the acquisitions. I have no problem with that. You got to, if you're going to go for it, go for it. John, you made a great point in that the roster did not get touched, especially the rotation or the relievers. And I think that was an important point to make. However, here's where and I've said this before, I'll say it again. Here's the problem. Every single year we go through the off season. What's AJ going to do? Then we go into the trade deadline season. We start in June. What's AJ going to do? And why are we continually having these roster problems in which we get guys at the deadline? We have no intent on keeping them. We give up 4 or 5 players to get the 2, but it's a net loss of about 7 because you don't re-sign the guys. And this
might be Dave. It might be the only path for them. I mean, just being honest with you, I think they have so much money that's already dished out, and they are now working with a budget when they weren't before. When Peter Seidler was around, I think the way they're operating, and I think the way AJ probably, I'm not telling you it's perfect, but I almost feel like it's by necessity. I don't think they have another path of how they're doing things. And to get the type of players that they got today, they got them because it was at the trade deadline and they were able to give up prospects for them.
Alan, I don't disagree with you on that. But on the other hand, when you look at the end result, it's not getting them into the World Series. I mean, we went back to Juan Soto on this. And that's why people get so upset when you talk about, you look at the players they gave up and the production that they're seeing now out of the Abrams and Woods and what have you. And where's Juan Soto? He was here for a season and a half, was supposed to deliver the World Series to us. Didn't get close. So
Dave, appreciate it.
When you
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I do respect that opinion. I really do. But the thing is, like, there's no such thing as delivering a World Series. Like, you got to go do it. Mm-hmm. All the teams want the World Series delivered. Some go about it different ways than others.
And you could look at, even if you look at this handful of years, Philadelphia could be saying the same thing, right? Like teams that have been in the mix.
Yeah, they've been to them. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, I really don't have an example of teams over history. I'm just talking about like this brief period of time, because I can't talk about Philadelphia. Phillies have won a World Series, but I'm talking about just like this iteration of the Phillies that they have. There are certain teams out there. Arizona got to a World Series and they kind of felt like, are we going to be knocking on the door the next couple of years? The answer is no. So Padres are not the only team that have been disappointing over these handful of years.
None of these teams, the fact of the matter is this: nobody is winning a World Series other than LA. 3 of the last 5 are LA. It might be 4 of 6. They're heavily favored to do it. So, if you're judging end result World Series winner, everyone's going to be disappointed. I mean, look at what's played out around the sport. So it's a hard bar. I like to judge by that bar. I'd love to see the Padres win a World Series at some point. What are we doing? They've been around since 1969. But if it's the bar that we're using for success or failure based on trades, like, you're not just trading for Juan Soto because you're going to win a World Series. You're trading for Juan Soto for so many factors and hoping to be in the conversation to win a World Series. There are no trades to be made to win World Series.
That's the most important part. I think what you just said, you want to be in the conversation. And even with the moves the Padres just made, they're not in that conversation.
I mean, I'd be very surprised.
However, the only way to get a step closer to a World Series is by making the playoffs. So I think that, and then, oh, by the way, if you get to the postseason, you can't have Michael King and nobody else coming out there in a 3-game set to try to get to the next round, would then just get you a little bit closer. And I think for San Diego, that's what it is. I mean, look, everybody would love, I've said this, and I've been critical on Preller, because if you trade the farm, then you're expecting, well, then you must be in the mix. And they technically have not been in the mix. Yes, they did go to the NLCS. They did face Philly, and they were out in 5 games. But that part I'm okay with people being critical about. But the reality for the Padres today, as we sit here, make the playoffs. We can bitch and complain all we want if they got to the postseason and they didn't get past the wild card round, or they got past the wild card round and didn't do something after that. But as we sit here today, did the 2 starting pitchers that they just added, does that increase their chances of making the postseason this year? That's obviously a clear yes.
Yeah, it's not even close. I agree with that. That's why I would give Preller favorable remarks on the deadline, not because I'm judging him on whether they're going to win the World Series or not based on this, but because I do think it gives them a better chance, A, to get in, and B, if they do get in, make some amount of noise. Now, I'm at Fangraphs. They have a 29% chance of making the postseason. This is drastically up over 7 or 8 days.
It was 7%.
From 7%.
7%, I think, that Friday going into the Marlins series, it was 7%, because I think you were gone on that Friday. I remember doing the show, and I want to say it was 7%, and the Padres were still, I think, 2-3 games behind Miami, something like that, before that series started with Miami. So from 7% to what?
29%. Arizona's at 44%. By the way, this completely changes tonight, whoever wins. If San Diego wins, they got a 36% chance, and Arizona's a 36%
I'm assuming some of those percentages are also going up because of what's happening behind them, too. As in some of the other teams, because you had 6-7 teams that were basically all going for one wild card spot. And over the course of 2 weeks, a couple have fall off. Phillies dropped back, so now there's 2 spots available. So I'm sure there's a lot of factors.
Yeah, I think it's, and the rosters, by the way, is this going to take into account the moves that are being made right now at the deadline? So I think the Padres have a lot better chance than 29% to make the postseason. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I'm looking at it from too close, so to speak. I can't see the forest through the trees, potentially. I'm just telling you, 1 behind 2 teams, and either spot is good enough to go to the postseason. Making these moves, addressing their true need, that to me should be enough. I'm not saying it's easy. I don't think they cruise in by 11 games, but I think what they've done today, plus based on how they've played, they've done enough to put themselves in a good position to make the postseason, better than a 29% chance. We'll see if that's right or not.
Yeah, and I think you got to feel obviously a lot better about the Padres' chances of getting a shot at being in the postseason than you were a couple weeks ago. And, and as we sit here today, at least on the field, even though I would still question the teams that they play to go 8-1.
Sure.
However, everybody's going to play those teams anyways.
Sure.
But I don't think by going 8-1 against Miami, who had been struggling, which, by the way, turned it around since they lost 12 in a row and 3 of those coming to the Padres. They're playing better. They're only a half game behind the Padres. But I think the Miami, Colorado, San Francisco doesn't tell me that they went 8-1. Watch out. The San Diego Padres are a team to reckon with. But it at least allowed AJ Preller to make the moves that he did. And I think, listen, I think if you're if you're a Padre fan and you wanted to see them sell, I think even those that wanted to see them sell understand the position that they're sitting in today. You just can't sell in that spot. Like, I think there's I think you have to, if you took a true step back and said, wait a minute, let me just get this straight. The goal this season was to make the playoffs. They're 1 game out of 2 wild card spots.
Yeah, with 50 games to play.
How the hell would they sell in that situation? Would it be different if Manny wasn't on the team, Xander wasn't on the team? You know, it's like you had 1 or 2 guys that were committed to some big dollars. I think it's safe to say most Padre fans understand why AJ Preller bought today rather than sell.
I would have been very critical if they sold today. Very critical.
I actually don't. I don't know if I saw a path for that to happen. If they did do it, it would be such a significant change culturally.
Yeah, but even going back to yesterday, Morejon being linked to the Yankees, and you could argue that would have been a net positive for the Padres, locking up a long-term starter in Will Warren. But like, even the idea of moving Morejon didn't sit well with me. I'm watching this guy get a 4-out save against San Francisco. This is the most valuable reliever in baseball other than Mason Miller, and you're going to move him? So it wasn't sitting right with me. I'm glad they didn't do it. I am glad they kept the bullpen intact. They went with the let's have the best bullpen in baseball strategy in 2024. Didn't work. They went with let's have the best bullpen strategy in 2025. Didn't work. They're trying it again. They may have the best bullpen. Will it finally work to a better extent in 26 than it did in 24 or 25? Because their bullpen is completely intact and could get healthier.
If they traded Morejon and you told me it was a starting pitcher for 4 years under control, 3-4 years under control, I would have understood.
I would have understood.
I wouldn't have been like, I think there are times where you do have to take advantage of a moment, or you do have to take advantage of this guy's off the roster in a couple of months if we don't pay him. Like it's not what AJ Preller does, but I would have understood if AJ Preller did.
100%. And I don't think it was on the table the way it was reported yesterday by Bob Nightingale. All right, coming up at 4 p.m., we're going to get to the wrap. We are going to hear from AJ Preller in the 4 o'clock hour. The Padres general manager is scheduled to speak with the media. Sean Lewis, Aztec football coach, on the first day of fall camp, will join us at 4:30. Then we're talking Padres with Danny Heilbrunn from the UT and Kevin Acee from the UT at 5 and 5:30, respectively. Reacting to the Padres at the deadline on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. It's a great time this summer to get out to their brand new hotel and spa at Jamul, where you can experience elevated luxury. They've got their refined hotel stay and their rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. And now you can take your stay to the next level. They have exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. While you're there, especially in the summertime, check out Starlight Pool. You can soak up the sun, soak in the views. It's San Diego's ultimate rooftop pool. Day passes starting at just $40. So you can grab your friends, relax, and make it a pool day to remember. And you're going to love all the food options at Jamul, including Jamul 23 with their lobster buffet going on each and every day. All you can eat lobster every day. plus dozens of other delicious stations. You can start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30. Made to order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 with you until 6 p.m. Really good show lined up for you. Let me get myself on camera on YouTube. No dull moments, even on the trade deadline here on Schaefer and Sliwa. Kevin Acee will join us at 5:30. Annie Heilbrunn at 5. We'll hear from AJ Preller in the 4 o'clock hour. So obviously the Padres making these moves, Alan, not the only moves around baseball. The most significant move made at the deadline. It is not close. It's Lars Nootbaar to the Diamondbacks.
Okay.
That is the move that everyone's been talking about.
Oh, man.
You felt like it was the only landing spot for him. And that's ultimately where he lands, and baseball didn't have a shot.
Shook baseball.
It's tough because I feel like St. Louis could have gotten a better return if they held out for longer. But he always wanted to be in Arizona.
As he said, listen, if I don't go to Arizona,
I'm not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere.
Quit the sport.
Yep.
Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers Saturday night for 3 quote-unquote prospects. 2, I think, in the top 100. 1, a former Padres farmhand in River Ryan. Tarik Skubal to the Dodgers, completing one of the best rotations probably in baseball history. Is everyone playing for second place after such a significant move played out this past weekend?
Listen, anything can happen. We've seen it in baseball. It doesn't matter. I mean, you really pick any sport. There are upsets in every sport. Yeah. But what it does is it just, I think, continues to just magnify what baseball looks like today. Like, I think there's a lot of people turned off by the sport because you have one team that has just completely dominated. And, I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it. The Dodgers are ran well. So as I get ready to bitch and complain, I want to emphasize the Dodgers are ran well. Like, under any system, under a salary cap, under whatever it is,
they'd be good.
Good organizations are still ran well, and they're ran well. I think Saturday, I mean, for me, I don't know, how you've done with this, but I think the last signing that the Dodgers made where I'm like, I have no emotion left towards it was Blake Snell. So we're talking a little bit ago, as in it just kind of got video gamey for me. So, if people want to say, well, why weren't the Brewers, why weren't some of these other teams more aggressive? I'm not going to fault them. I think you're right. I think other teams should have been more aggressive, and maybe that's the move that you make. But, you're talking about a rental that can potentially be with the Dodgers for years to come. Who's going to pay him $400 million? The Dodgers probably would pay him $400 million.
Yeah, potentially.
While some of these other teams wouldn't. So these other teams have a reason why they wouldn't do it. Even though I would look to say, you and I talked about this. If you're the Brewers and you're Tampa, one of those two teams, I think, should have made a more aggressive move to bring him in. So as we sit here today, again, I'll say it. I think there are a lot of fans who are turned off by the game of baseball, period. However we got here, you and I were looking up at that rotation. It's stupid. The whole thing is dumb. The whole thing is just, if you really want a league where it's genuinely this thing's up in the air and let anybody compete, I don't think this is the system. And I firmly believe this. I think we're going to have real issues in 2027, not because of the owners, not because of the players, but I think you have fans across the country as well. They're like, yeah, I'm not okay with this. And the owners will take advantage of that. At the end of the day, owners care more about their pocketbooks, and a salary cap is good for their pockets unless there's a floor as well. So that's how I would explain it.
I don't really know how to feel about it. I don't see it the same way as a straight free agent signing, because I do, to some extent, almost fault other teams for not getting involved, because there's a lot of examples of very high caliber rentals without assurances of them staying, still going to clubs and helping those clubs win World Series. I mean, there's recent examples of that.
Sure, I agree.
That have played out. It's like, Milwaukee, you've never won a World Series. Yeah. And you have the same record as LA. Maybe it's worth throwing an additional chip in, even without the assurance. Your system is as deep as Los Angeles is, supposedly. But I do recognize what you're saying, and it's spot on. The fact remains that the Dodgers are willing to potentially give up more because of the possibility that he remains with them, and because they could, quote unquote, afford to do it. Even if he doesn't stay, they could make an additional signing if they chose.
What's the risk that they're involved?
They are dealing with less risk than other teams.
Which I will tell you, I think that if you want to look at it from, and I'm with you. Listen, I'll say it again. If I'm Milwaukee or Tampa, and I'm just using those teams as examples, why not say now is the time? Why not say I want to go all in? Because if you're the Dodgers too, there's a part of you that just wants to get this deal done more out of defense than offense, even though Skubal's one of the best pitchers in all baseball, right? But there's a part of you that says, well, we keep him away from Milwaukee. That in itself is huge.
Yeah, because you would have gone up against Mizorowski and 100%, also Skubal.
100%. But here's where I'll push back a little bit. Again, I go back to it. Teams have to be more desperate because of the way this system is set up. I do think the Padres, part of the reason why they're in such a financial and if you look at the books, is because they're chasing the Dodgers. Yeah. I think that if hypothetically the Padres were in the AL, which I'm more than happy if we want to look into that, I'm more than happy to do so. Yeah. I don't know if they would be as desperate. Right. I don't know if they would have been as desperate based on kind of the situation. Now you could look at it any way that you want. I remember there was Doug McCain, who does Dodgers Nation. One time I had him on one of my shows, and he had said something to me. He's like, you know what I really respect about Peter Seidler? This was at that time. He's like, the Padres aren't waiting and saying, hey, let's just wait when the Dodgers aren't good again. It's like, we'll go up against you anytime, anywhere. And that's kind of what the Padres tried to do. Clearly, it hasn't worked out up to this point.
It's like, I'm looking at it like this. If both the Dodgers and Padres were 69 and 42, which is what Milwaukee and LA are right now, and if the Dodgers landed Skubal and the Padres had the chance, let's say they had a system like Milwaukee's, I would have been very critical of San Diego. I agree. And now I know they've gone all in, and I know the Dodgers have the deck stacked in their advantage, but sometimes you're going to have to go above and beyond in an effort to slay a team as capable as LA has been in Major League Baseball. And we'll see. Here's the thing. we've said this before. In Major League Baseball's postseason, sometimes it doesn't play out the way you expect. Although, with all that being said, LA has won each of the last 2 World Series.
And, listen, and there were, I would say, I mean, especially last year, right? Toronto had I thought Toronto choked.
Got them on the ropes.
I think they choked.
I agree.
And I think they, left the Dodgers in it. And eventually, if you leave the champs in it, they'll probably find a way to win. And that's, obviously what the Dodgers did. But I think when the dust settles, in a weird way, I think this is going to help baseball long term. Let's just put it that way. Like, it's so lopsided. I think it's going to help baseball long term.
I'm not as convinced of that.
Yeah,
I'm maybe. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
I think it will. I think if there's ever a time,
isn't there's still does it impact the stoppage?
Here's why I think people. This is the problem that I have with this conversation. I think it comes up all the time. I think people try to look just at, did they win or did they lose? Or I think there's such a deeper flaw in baseball than just, if the Dodgers don't win a World Series this year, that's not shocking. Like, their chances of winning is, let's say, 1 out of 4, which is an absurd to have this many teams, many. That's
probably
an absurd. It's probably even higher than that. But like, it's not
9 and 10.
It's not 9 to 10. But that, even if they don't win, that does not make the case of, oh, hey, baseball's fine. Like, that to me is absurd, that people think that it's just based on whether you won a World Series or not.
Well, my argument would also be, well, just because they landed Tarik Skubal isn't the reason we're going to have everything fixed. Even if they didn't land Skubal, we'd be dealing with the same inequities.
100%.
You know what I mean? This is just another one of the.
It's just another layer. Like I told you, listen, my emotion has been lost on this because it became video game to me.
It has
back when Blake Snell signed. That's how long I'm talking about. I'm not talking about
years
over the last couple of months.
Kyle Tucker signed for over $60 million a year and has done nothing for LA this season. All right, we'll get to the wrap on the other side. Plus at 4:30, Sean Lewis, Aztecs football coach's fall camp gets underway on the Mesa. Then Annie Heilbrunn from the UT at 5 and Kevin Acee at 5:30, reacting to the trade deadline in 2026 here on Schaefer and Slewa. Stay with us.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres are getting set for game 1 of their series against the Diamondbacks tonight in Arizona. It's going to be Michael King going for the Friars and Brandon Pfaadt going for Arizona. First pitch tonight is at 6:40. The trade deadline has come and gone. The Padres did make a couple moves to shore up their starting pitching rotation. The Padres acquired left-handed pitcher Robbie Ray from the Giants and right-handed pitcher Kevin Acee from the Tigers. Other trades today, the Red Sox acquired 3-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Orioles. The Giants sent Luis Rise to the Phillies. And let's see. And the Yankees at the last minute did add Elliot Ramos from the Giants. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
The MLB trade deadline has passed. Nothing big, right?
Tarik Skubal going to Los Angeles a day and a half before the deadline.
It's official. Adley Rutschman is going to the Boston Red Sox.
Luis Rise is going to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Meanwhile, some help on the way to Petco Park. Padres get Robbie Ray from the Giants.
The bigger story, obviously, right now for Padres fans that are hoping to see this team get into the postseason is you're now pairing Michael King with Robbie Ray.
Will there be more? We react to moving day in Major League Baseball. Plus, a preview of the series out in Arizona. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
Hour 2 here on a deadline
Yes, sir.
Monday.
Yes, sir.
Padres, Alan, addressing some needs with starters, Robbie Ray, Casey Mize. Kevin Acee, what will he make of it? He'll join us at 5:30. Eddie Heilbrunn from the UT at 5 p.m. Sean Lewis, Aztec football coach. What does he think of the Padres at the deadline? Should we ask him?
I'm going all in on just that piece.
On Sean Lewis at the deadline?
Sean, talk to me here.
I think Sean is a White Sox fan.
Yeah.
I believe he grew up in Chicagoland. I believe he is a White Sox fan. He'll join us coming up at 4:30. We have giveaways, Alan, today. One of which we'll give away this hour is a 4-pack of tickets. Listen to this. Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean. Really good show. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to that August 16th at Petco Park. So be listening for your chance to win those tickets coming up later this hour. All right, we're reacting to it all. Again, Padres at the trade deadline. We'll hear from AJ Preller coming up. I'm curious to hear what Preller had to say about what the Padres were hoping to do. Like, was he looking to do more, less? What were the considerations?
Yeah,
we'll hear from AJ Preller coming up as well.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season because I think what this does, it's really, really tough to go an hour and basically talk nothing about a 4-game set that you have against a team that's 1 game in front of you for potentially that final wild card spot. Obviously them in Philadelphia, but that's how much news has gone on over the last hour, right? Trade deadline ends at 3. Right. We're announcing some of these moves. We're getting some fan reaction, all that stuff. They got a critical series coming up. And, we know they didn't start Michael King yesterday against San Francisco. They pushed him 1 day.
Yep.
They'll get Michael King tonight. And we'll see if the Padres can get off to the right start in Arizona. But it's going to make, I think, not just for us, but just Padre fans in general, kind of must-watch TV over these next 2 months. And when you're in a true playoff hunt and there are more teams and less spots available, every game does matter. So, of course, for San Diego, it's going to be exciting to watch.
All right, we'll get to the wrap in a moment, but first, let's go to the phones. Drew in San Diego wants to weigh in. You can as well, by the way. 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. Drew, the Padres had a couple of rentals. Thanks for joining us here on Schaefer and Sliwa.
What's up, fellas? I got 2 questions, a Laker question and a Padre question. Do you think maybe Preller has a green light from ownership to get these rentals? Maybe we can sign them in off season instead of, previous seasons. These aren't really rentals, and maybe there's a long-term future with these pitchers. And then, Saliwa, real quick, would you trade that 2032 swap and Thero or Cameron Carr for paying Watson straight up and sign like a 4-year, $100 million contract? What do you think?
Thanks, appreciate it. Thanks for calling. We'll go yours
2032 question.
I know. 2032.
I love that.
Peyton Watson, Anadu Thero. I'm waiting. I think Lakers got. I think they should allow what they just did and give it a second to marinate before overreacting and trying to throw more of their draft capital that they don't have. So I'm waiting.
I would
Plus,
say
I think they need a wing more.
I would say with the Padres, you still have Darvish and Musgrove on the books in 2027. So when you talk about re-signing Robbie Ray or Casey Mize,
do you think, is there a world that, like, what do these trades become for you if they bring one of these guys back?
Becomes better in theory if you get the results. I mean, I think Casey Mize could be back. He's making $6 million this year, so that's possible. I think Robbie Ray's making $25 million this year. He's had a good year, but yeah, maybe one of them comes back. I don't know if that was part of the calculus or not. Their payroll is so out of whack that, I mean, they're certainly going to need starting pitching in 2027, but I don't think you're thinking about keeping Robbie Ray when you make this deal, would be my guess. I think you're thinking about 2026 when you make a deal like this.
Yeah, and there's just too many unanswered questions for them as well. I mean, Michael King, does Nick Pivetta come back before his contract is voided?
Does Michael King come back because he's on a 1-year deal?
There's Michael King. He's got that player option.
Yep.
They got plenty of questions. The problem with the Padres right now is tough to think past 2026.
Now, I agree.
Because I think there's so many questions of what happens in 2027, what happens with Major League Baseball in general in 2027, let alone some of the players that you have. How does new ownership come in? Again, we've talked about this. I think Padres are one of the more fascinating conversations in all of baseball because there's so many variables going on at once.
There are. All right, we can go back to the phones. 877-767-4760. What do you make of what AJ Preller has done at the deadline? By the way, another deal under inside the trade deadline. Okay. And that is for a right-hander by the name of Hunter Stratton. So the Padres tweeting out 4 minutes ago, they've acquired right-hander Hunter Stratton from the Pirates for right-hander Andrew Moore. And Stratton this year had 3 appearances in the big leagues, 3 1/3 innings, a 5.4 ERA. So 3 1/3 innings, 2 runs allowed for Hunter Stratton, who has been traded. This is, again, this might be more of a deal that will impact them in AAA or provide them some depth in their bullpen.
3 p.m. my ass.
Yeah, exactly. This guy has made 62 appearances in the big leagues, 3-2 with a 3.88 in his career. He is, real quick, a 29-year-old right-handed reliever that was in the Pirates minor league system when the trade was made.
Okay.
So they've acquired some pitching as well. Let's go back to the phones. King on line 1. You're on with Schaefer and Sliwa. King, thanks for calling in.
Appreciate it. Big day for the Padres. Big gamble for the Padres. I would like to get your guys' take on what's the definition of success, moving forward. I'll give you my take is if we don't make the World Series 1 appearance over the next 3 seasons, this was absolutely unnecessary. I actually don't love the trades, given Ray's age, not a fan of it. Giving two of our best 3 prospects arms, I just don't see it. We have to make it to the World Series or this is a really, really bad one for us. What's your take?
Appreciate it, King. I think it's a stretch, to have to make the World Series.
I think it's probably there's a totality to it. Like, I think if you think of AJ Preller, since he started with the Padres, how long he's been with the organization,
12 years,
how loose he's been with his prospects, how much he's wheeled and dealed. I think that statement is fair, but not over the next 3-year stretch. Right. I'm talking about just the totality of what AJ Preller has done. And listen, I think that question is going to come up more and more about, is this the future that you want with AJ Preller? Is this the way you want to run your organization? And I think you make a case both ways. I think there's some Padre fans saying, I've never had so much fun watching the San Diego Padres. I've never been more this invested into watching the Padres. I've never seen so many of the national people talking about the San Diego Padres. But at the end of the day, I think the question to ask is the way he does business, are you getting closer to a World Series or not? That I think would be the question.
I would say this. I don't feel the pressure from the fan base when the Padres are in the postseason for some type of change. Like if they make the postseason this year, for example, and I don't know if they will, they may not. But if they do, and we're forecasting, it's the first time they've ever gone to the postseason 3 straight years. I don't sense that things will change based on that. I don't feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, 877 877-477-4760. I don't feel this amazing amount of pressure on the organization once they get to the postseason to get further. There is that pressure, of course, to an extent, but I feel like by getting in, they've kind of kept their fan base at bay, evidenced by the fact that 3.3 million people are going to be there this year. And it seems like there's as much interest as there's been. So I don't know. Are they walking a line where a wild card's not enough?
I don't think it's the same. Would you agree with this? It's not how many fans they're bringing in. I think we're getting to a point where there's a little bit of a maybe stagnant, want to call it.
Yeah,
I think it's getting a little stagnant. Maybe it's because you're just seeing the same players and you're also not seeing them go any further.
Right. Sure.
Right. That could be some of the reason for that. I'll go back to this. It's weird with the playoffs because what they're accomplishing is primarily because there are more playoff spots available. Right?
They haven't been a 6 seed, have they? I mean, have they been a 6 seed?
Last year they were a 6 seed, right?
Or were they a 5?
Were they 5 last year or 6?
I think they were 5. So they played a wild card team, right?
They played Cubbies.
5 versus 4.
Right.
So they haven't been a 6, and there's been 5 for 10 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
I get the point. Back in the day, you're not making the playoffs like this. Today,
but I'm not taking anything away from that. I think making the postseason is making the postseason. But I think when you start making the postseason and that becomes kind of your bar, okay, hey, yeah, make the playoffs, but made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then you're out in 3 games. It's like, all right, well, what the hell did we do all that for? That was the goal. The goal was to get in the wild card and be out in 3 games. And I think so to go back to, the caller, the caller from King, the problem I have of saying they got to get to a World Series or it's an utter failure. My concern with that is, did that opportunity already pass? Like, was the best roster that you had, was that 20, could be 2023, but they didn't play well.
Or
2024.
Yeah.
But they faced who would eventually be the World Series champion. It might be tougher to reach moving forward.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely. I think, by the way, if this team makes an NLCS at any point in the next 3 years, they'll be celebrated. I don't see it as a failure organizationally if they don't play in a World Series next 3 years, but maybe some do. 877-767-4760. Let's think in this call from Marcos. Is it Marcus or Marcos? Marcos, you're on with Schaefer and Sleewa. Thanks for calling in, man. How are you?
I'm good. I had a question for you guys. I was watching all the trading coverage today, on MLB Network, and it looked like both the Marlins and the Nationals were like kind of sellers today, and they're 2 of the teams that were kind of fighting over this last wild card spot with. And so I wanted to know what you guys thought about that. And then also, there was another player involved in the Casey Mize trade, Gage Workman or something like that.
Yep.
And I don't know anything about that dude, so I was wondering if you guys knew anything. Also, Alan, great to have you on the show, man. I'm a Helix High School graduate.
There you go.
Good to have a local voice on the show.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for calling in.
Marcos, for calling in. Gage,
don't talk Granite Helix right now because I'm just saying Granite. They've been doing work the last couple of years against Helix.
Did you go to Granite?
That's where I went to.
It sounds the way you're talking. It sounds like you went there.
Helix has kind of owned all of East County for about 30, 40 years.
But not when you were there.
Making what do you mean?
Except for your 4-year run.
No, Helix has owned East County.
We'll react to that call on the other side. We'll hear from AJ Preller coming up. Sean Lewis, San Diego State football fall camp is underway. He'll join us at 4:30. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Annie Heilbrunn at 5 on Schaefer and Sleewa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. Live performances by the Goo Goo Dolls, Kenny Chesney, Lainey Wilson, Snoop Dogg, Weezer, and more, September 18th and 19th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. While the world is listening on iHeartRadio, you could be there. 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for $2 plus $1,000 on spending money. We've got your first chance to win starting next Monday at 9 a.m.
Here's what I know about Gage Workman, who they got in the Casey Mize deal. His middle name is Tater, which is kind of cool. So we do know that.
That's huge. How did you get that info?
I have sources.
Wow.
He's been a kind of a fringy major leaguer. He's got a small sample size. He's out of Arizona State. He's young. He was drafted in 2020. Plays multiple infield positions and is supposedly capable of hitting for power, but has also been a big swing and miss guy.
This is such a like. Again, this goes back to, it's like, I remember, I'm going to give you an NBA comp here. The Lakers traded for Anthony Davis years ago, right?
He's just like Gage Workman, right?
And they gave up a haul, and it was draft picks,
right?
And it was, some of their younger players as well, but it was draft swaps and everything that you could think of. Do you know when you know whether that was a good trade or not? Probably 3 to 5 years later.
Right.
Or the moment he won a championship.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
But I guess my point is that whoever the Padres are giving up, like today, I saw this maybe about a week ago or so, and they were showing Juan Soto stats next to Abrams and next to Wood, right? All right. Took a couple of years to kind of figure out whether you think that was a good deal or it wasn't a good deal. You could say whatever you want about Juan Soto, but 2 of the players that the Padres gave up are studs. When that trade went down, there's nobody and maybe there were people, you were on radio at that time.
Nobody saying it was a bad
Nobody
deal.
bitching and complaining. There's a lot of people today that bitch and complain about it.
Yeah, true.
The dust will settle for a long time.
I mean, the kids they gave up today, or the prospects they gave up today, including the 17-year-old, is one of their top 10 prospects. He's 17. He's not playing stateside. He's playing in the Dominican. MLB Pipeline has his estimated time to the majors as 2031. Like, this could play out over
of course,
not a year or 2 or 3, but like 3 or 5 or 7. Truthfully,
I think the thing I didn't want to see happen, which kind of did, right? You gave up your number 2 overall prospect, right? Last year, you gave up your number 1 overall prospect.
Yep.
This year, the difference is you gave it up for guys that probably are not going to be on the roster next season, where at least with Mason Miller, obviously he's still got a handful of years left with the Padres.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how good of a prospect this Cash Mayfield was, to your point. I mean, it could absolutely burn them, but we probably won't know for a couple of years down the line. All right, let's hear from AJ Preller. Sean Lewis, San Diego State's football coach, fall camp getting underway today. He's going to join us coming up at 4:30. Which probably leaves us about 3 or 4 minutes to hear from AJ Preller, some of his opening statements and questions from the media. We could also play it at 4:45, Brian, if that's preferred. Let's play it at 4:45. We'll have a few more minutes to react to it then. But Sean Lewis, again, will join us coming up at 4:30. Your point is valid. It's even harder, though, in baseball to get an accurate read on it than the NBA, in my opinion, because of all the systems or all the like levels. Like, there's no real 17-year-old prospects in the NBA that take 3 to 5 years to develop. But they're literally like, it's the 2028 draft pick.
That's a great point.
So
it's like, well, who the hell are you going to take at 2028 or the pick swaps?
Yeah.
Let me give you. We'll go back to it. And again, I know I'm kind of crossing sports here, but we'll go back to the point that I'm trying to make is every trade that goes down at the trade deadline, you're not going to know for a handful of years whether your team made the right move or they didn't.
Unless you win.
We saw this with the Clippers and PG.
Yeah, people thought the Clippers were the big winner.
This past draft, which was a month and a half ago, was the final pick that the Oklahoma City Thunder made to that trade from years ago. Obviously, as you sit here today, so are we going to be sitting here in a handful of years questioning some of these trades at AJ? Probably. Sure, I think there's a better chance that we will than we won't, because Preller clearly has got no problem taking the chance.
He's also Teflon, though, because he's the second or third most tenured general manager in the sport.
Yeah.
He's never even brought his franchise to a World Series. He's made trades that have not panned out. I mean, a number of them, obviously.
Is this only happen because it's in, like, I don't even know why. I don't even know what I mean by this when I say, does it only mean because it's in San Diego? But I don't even think that means anything.
I don't know how he's been able to do it, but there will come a time.
I think I know.
I mean, he's generated excitement.
When did he start?
2014.
I think the fact that all of his worst work with the organization, as in when I say worst work, what I mean by that is they weren't making the postseason, was all early on. And at least he can say in these last 5 years, well, I'm getting you to the postseason. 4 out of the last 6 years, I'm getting you to the postseason. I have some big moments with this franchise where they did make the playoffs, or they did beat the Dodgers and then go up against the Phillies. Like, they've had enough moments to kind of let this thing drag on.
True, but at some point, it's like, what is the bar? It's like we've said before with San Diego State with like basketball. It's like reaching the tournament for a lot of Aztec fans became not enough, where you had to win in the NCAA tournament. If the Padres are in a wild card spot for the next 3 years and don't advance, and maybe that's unlikely. They've only not advanced out of the wild card spot one time.
That's not going to be a good taste in people's mouths.
Yeah, so I guess the point is, at some point,
but if they lost in a divisional round,
at some point it's going to be, you're going to move on, because there's no such thing as a 24-year GM that's never made it to a World Series. By the way, he's halfway there. At 12 plus years, they've never appeared in a World Series. So
the biggest question for me with Preller is more philosophically. Is this how you want to run your organization day to day?
I love it. I mean, it brings so much excitement. I think the fans have proven that they like it enough because of the way they draw. Again, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I've always been enamored with the wheeling and the dealing, as opposed to the conservative sit on your hands approach.
I'll ask you this question. What do you think, and maybe there's no answer to this, is the more conservative approach give you a better likelihood of winning a World Series, or does this one, that I'm gambling, which one gives you a better chance?
So hard to know, right?
Well, what do most teams, what I think Preller is one of one.
Yeah, I mean,
is there another AJ Preller in baseball?
I mean, there's well-run organizations like Atlanta that win with the long play, and then there's well-run organizations like Dodgers that win by striking from all facets.
I don't like the Dodger example because I think that one's more exclusive. Like, that one's more, most markets can't operate that way.
True, but of course unfortunately they're the best example because they've been winning everything. So it's hard to
I think Atlanta's a great example.
Yeah, Atlanta's
the Braves are a great example.
Tampa's a good example, but again, Tampa doesn't get the World Series.
I'll take slow and boring all day long if it gives me a better shot of winning a World Series.
Yeah, if it does. If is the key word.
But there's no guarantee for that.
Sean Lewis, Aztecs head football coach. Fall camp is underway. He joins us on the other side on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres are in Arizona getting set for game 1 of their series against the Diamondbacks tonight. It's going to be Michael King going for the Friars and Brandon Pfaadt going for Arizona. First pitch is set for 6:40. The trade deadline has come and gone. The Padres did pick up a couple starting pitchers. They acquired Robbie Ray from the Giants and Casey Mize from the Tigers. Other trades today in baseball, the Red Sox picked up 3-time All-Star Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Orioles. The Giants shipped Luis Ariz to the Phillies, and then the Giants also shipped Heliot Ramos to the Yankees. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right. We've been spending a lot of time on the trade deadline, but football is back on the Mesa at San Diego State, home of the Aztecs. Fall camp open for SDSU.
Let's go,
opener,
Aztecs.
September 5th, Portland State. Snapdragon Stadium tickets, by the way, starting at $23 per game at goaztecs.com. Season tickets, $175 per ticket. That's what it starts at goaztecs.com. We have Sean Lewis, Aztecs third-year head coach, back with us in the home of the Aztecs. Coach, always appreciate it. We know it's busy. I want to ask where this time of the year ranks for you. Like when you get back on the field, you can begin to taste the idea of playing games on Saturdays. Like this has to be up there in terms of the more enjoyable parts of the job.
It absolutely is, guys. It's great to be back on with you guys. Excited here. I mean, shoot, in 24 hours, we'll be in a meeting. All the boys will be back, having reported. We'll be on the field, and, you know, we'll be having come off the field actually in 48 hours, right, on Wednesday with our first practice. So it is, it's the closest thing that I feel to when I was a young boy and it was Christmas Eve and you're waiting for Santa to come down and see what he delivered to you. So it's a great time of year.
Coach, what are you hoping to accomplish here once, you know, you get to that moment and camp starts and you're getting a little bit closer to your first game in the Pac-12, and just what are you hoping to accomplish here over these next couple of weeks?
Yeah, we really need to forge our identity, right? I mean, this is the time when we report to camp tomorrow and we start practicing on Wednesday and all the way up to and through really August 22nd. We get to create this great football bubble, right, where we get to have this unbelievable time together, where everyone who's a part of the climb and everyone who's doing really, you know, intimate and personal work gets to come together and just really from sun up and sun down, continue to get better, refine our crafts, build our connection, and really grow and figure out what this team is going to be. You know, we had a little bit of work, obviously, in the spring with the spring game, but that was only 15 practices, and now, obviously, you're closer to it, and this will be much more intense, and we really got to come together and build the identity of this squad and, you know, see who's going to emerge, who we can trust, and who's going to be able to go out there and execute consistently down in and down out when we put the ball down on September 5th.
Sean Lewis, Aztecs third-year head coach, with us right now, home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. The work that goes on behind the scenes that nobody sees, really from the time you got this group together, which would have been in January, now we're all of a sudden in August. How has that process played out? The acclimation of newcomers, the returnees, like how would you compare that to what you've seen previously? What's going on behind closed doors, so to speak, over the last half year?
Yeah, I mean, each year is so uniquely different now. And I think that's probably the sentiments of every coach across college football. It doesn't matter where you sit. You know, there's going to be the roster construction that takes place, as you alluded to. I mean, we were signing guys to their 2026 deals while we were down in Albuquerque for the New Mexico Bowl and making sure that, you know, we knew the guys that were going to be a part of our roster that we were going to be able to retain. And then, you know, you obviously celebrate the new year and the portal window opens. And next thing you know, you look up and, you know, our player personnel department did an unbelievable job. I mean, we had close to 45 different official visitors that came through out of the portal, being able to reconstruct the roster with talent from, you know, all different places, right? Whether that was the P4 level, FCS level, and all the way down to some, you know, players out of the D2 level that, you know, we felt like we're going to be a good fit. And then we've done tremendous work through winter conditioning, spring ball. I'm really pleased with what the squad did over the summer. and how they wrapped up summer conditioning. I mean, some of the numbers that the guys are throwing around in the weight room, the way that they're attacking their runs, we're physically in a really, really good spot. But I often joke with the guys, it's like none of them came here to be the best at working out. We came here to be the best football team that we could be for this great city. And now's the time we get to go play that ball. But to your point, a ton of work put on by a ton of people to get the roster to where it is. And really excited to now, take all the talent that we have acquired and really make a team of it and do this great work of camp as we get ripping and rolling for a great season as we're going into the Pac-12.
SDSU football head coach Sean Lewis joining us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa show. Coach, I'm curious, I've heard you say it. I've heard the athletic director for San Diego State University, J.D. Wicker. You guys very confident with what your goals are for football. And you've mentioned it a couple of times. The goal is to win the Pac-12. And, of course, you got to get to the Pac-12 championship game and see what happens from there. Can you talk a little bit to San Diegans, just the level of confidence? Now, I know there's a lot of work to be done, but I love that that's the bar that you guys are setting, and you're not shying away from it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was the very first conversation when JD and I started talking about this job, and I was hunting and looking for a spot where the expectations and the resources all aligned, and JD didn't shy away from it. That hey, we're putting championships, right? We're going to put more championships in our trophy case, and so from day one, we've been doing that work, and I'm really confident in our staff. I'm really confident in our team, and I'm confident in our process, right? Like we've done this now at multiple stops. With a great group of people where we have built, championship cultures and gone and done things that, had never been done at the places that we've been. We had the whole community show up last year. We have over 30,000 people in the stands when we beat Cal 34-0 for a historic win, the largest victory in SDSU history over a P4 school, right? So not only doing that, but then also, having guys, go drafted in the first round with our process and our development and their hard work, right? So I'm confident in the work that we do on a year-round basis. And, man, I'm excited to share it with our community and for them to get to come see a first look at this team on August 15th when we're at Snapdragon Stadium for our open scrimmage. And I'm excited for them, to come and be with us on September 5th as we take on Portland State. And then, the next opportunity that we have at home is against JMU. But it's important because the Aztecs are doing it. It's important because this is San Diego's team, and we need all San Diego to show up and support us, and really help us, get that next title into our trophy case. It'll just so happen to say Pac-12 this year, which would be really, really cool.
Free event that Sean just mentioned on August 15th at free scrimmage at Snapdragon Stadium. And then again, the home opener September 5th against Portland State. Tickets to the opener and more, season tickets or single game tickets available right now, starting at $23 ticket at goaztecs.com. Sean, you know better than I do. The lineage of tailbacks at San Diego State is truly incredible. You've had a number of great ones the last couple of years. Marquez Cooper transfers in. You had him previously. Lucky Sutton now last year. We all know about the history at SDSU. What is it about Sutton specifically now? It's his second year with you. It's his third year with you, actually.
Yeah, third.
What is it about Sutton, the development you've seen that has put him in this situation where he's got all the preseason accolades and all the expectations heading in?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with his mindset. He's done an unbelievable job, whether it was year one, learning from Coop and being humble and recognizing, that even though he probably wanted to play, that, he could serve the team and have a different role, but then learning from that experience. And then obviously, really bursting onto the scene a year ago with his production. But then again, right, like that comfort and complacency, if you feel like you've done something, that'll kill you. And the way that he has attacked and approached, again, winter conditioning, spring ball, and all the things, the way that he's grown as a leader, how he's become more vocal in his own way, like really just being authentic to himself and having the authority in the locker room to lead and not letting any of the external noise. I mean, what was it? The Maxwell Award, there was only 80 players in all college football that he was, on that watch list announced today. But again, like you see him in the building and he still looks like the year one kid looking to prove himself, which is an unbelievable trait to have, so really, honored to be his coach. Coach Hagan does a tremendous job with him. And it's, I think it's really beneficial for him and all the guys in our running back room, obviously to uphold the standard that you alluded to here at San Diego State. But then having Coach Hagan, who, is a Heisman finalist, right? Who's been in that path, who's had that spotlight shine on him, to be able to talk to those guys, particularly Lucky, and say, hey, like, this pressure, is a privilege, and carry it appropriately. And the best way to, honor the legacy, to honor the team, and to continue to create great moments in the future is to do great work in the present. And no one's done that better than Lucky, this offseason.
Coach, I'm curious, there's so much going on around college football, the Protect College Sports Act, and there's so much going on in the background. How much do you pay attention to that stuff? I mean, is it kind of, you're trying to, obviously run a team and you want to get your kids ready to go and these young adults ready to go. Just how much are you paying attention to just the state of college football? Or is that something you just kind of, you leave to the side and you pay attention to what you can control?
I mean, I tell you what, that Friday news dump this past Friday really tried to ruin my experience at the Zach Bryan concert at Snapdragon. But,
that's amazing.
Eventually you get to the point, I'm aware of all of it. And again, I'm very fortunate with J.D. Wicker and, Caleb Davis and Sean Dillon and Sam Popper, the people that we have on our floor within our program and obviously within our university. They probably exhaust a heck of a lot more energy and effort in tracking all of that, because that in and of itself, I mean, I think could be a full-time job to try and figure out all that's going on. So well aware of what's happening, have some plans on my desk that if and when, and maybe something does, become real, to be able to activate. But at the end of the day, right, it's being able to pour into our guys and pour into our staff. And again, fortunate to have smart people around me that are able to track that a little bit closer than I am, so that, again, when it comes time to pivot, we'll adapt, we'll adjust, and we'll continue to overcome the way that the Aztecs do.
All right, the most important question, Zach Bryan. So yeah. I heard very good things on the show. I'm a huge country music fan, and I was in your office last week. I don't know why we didn't spend more time on this, and I also don't know why I didn't go to either of these shows, because I love Zach Bryan.
Coach, and Coach, just so you know, Schaefer has a really good voice. I mean, I
do radio.
He sings a ton during the show, a lot.
I kind of do. Give us some highlights. How was this show?
I mean, so he played all the bangers, which was awesome, right? Like sometimes you go to the concerts and it's like, hey, we're just playing the new stuff.
Yeah, don't get too cute. I like that.
It was all the hits, right? Like it reminded me of like just blocking, tackling, pitch, and catch, like just the basics. And we're going to do that really, really well. So one of my favorites is Open the Gates. I mean, he played that, the second song of the set. I mean, but the energy, I mean, he's a performer. I thought the horns that he had with him were outstanding. And then the encore felt like it went on for days, which was great. So, it was a last little bit of fun before we got into camp. And, man, it was only my second event at Snapdragon, besides when the All Blacks came to play my first year, aside from our football games, obviously. But, man, I mean, like, we obviously know and we brag about it, but to be a fan and to be a spectator and to be in there, for that event and just to feel that energy, like, I can't wait until that thing's packed like that for Aztec football, and our community comes out, competes with us, and we feel that same energy and that enthusiasm. I was looking up to the corners, and I'm like, we're going to pack this thing just like this upcoming year and sell this thing out. So I'm excited to do that work. But it was a great show at a great spot.
Single game tickets to see the Aztecs and Snapdragon starting at $23. Season tickets starting at $175. Fall camp underway this week. Opener September 5th. Tickets at goaztecs.com. Sean, appreciate the time. Best of luck getting your football team ready for September. Thanks as always.
Guys, appreciate the opportunity. Go Aztecs.
Thanks, great Coach. Stuff from Sean Lewis. All right, back to.
I'm sold on him.
He's terrific. I've been a huge fan.
Once he starts going, he gets me excited.
He's terrific. All right, back to the deadline. We've got tickets to give away, by the way, on the other side. We've got a 4-pack of tickets. Speaking of concerts, 4-pack of tickets to see Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean at Petco Park. We'll give that away on the other side. We'll hear from AJ Preller on the other side. His first words after the deadline editions. Next on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Teachers make a difference each and every day. Now's your chance to say thanks. iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher, powered by Donors Choose, nominated an outstanding public school teacher who goes above and beyond for students. They could be one of our $5,000 winners for classroom supplies and resources. Teachers give so much. Now it's our turn to give back. Nominate a teacher at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. That's iHeartRadio.com/teachers. That's a cool program that iHeart is a part of. That's awesome.
No doubt about it. All right. In 8 minutes, we will give away tickets to see Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean at Petco Park August 16th in less than 2 weeks. Amazing giveaway. A 4-pack of tickets that's valued at hundreds of dollars. We'll tell you how to win those tickets coming up in about 8 minutes. Let's hear from AJ Preller. We have Annie Heilbrunn joining us in about 12 minutes from the UT. We have Kevin Acee at 5:30. This is AJ Preller with the media after landing 2 starters, Robbie Ray and Casey Mize. And I think this starts with the question from our Padres insider, Kevin Acee.
AJ, you probably needed a left-handed bat. You didn't get one, but you did go like really deep with the starting pitching. Like, getting these 2 quality guys kind of enough? Was going that hard to get the starting pitching? Was that like part of, or in any response to not getting the extra bat that you wanted?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of different combinations that we looked at. I think we've talked about it. Improving the offense potentially with the left-hand bat, and then obviously improving the rotation. We looked at potentially ideas that would have helped us on the offensive end and also on the pitching side, but ultimately we just didn't line up with things that we felt like would have been good for the Padres for now or for the future. And the offense has played well. We swung the bat really well. We like the guys in our clubhouse, in our room. We like the versatility that gives our team. We've got some guys that are out that potentially could come back also here in the next month. So those are all factors that we look at. And, ultimately we didn't line up at the deadline for that left-handed bat, but we do like our options. And we've been one of the better offenses in the league over the last month. So I think it's just continuing more of what we're seeing. I think that's going to be a big key. And, you got to get your pitching right. If your pitching's right, it usually gives you a chance. And that's ultimately where we ended up.
Hey, how pleasing was it that you didn't have to deal from the major league roster, and that with a supposedly depleted minor league system, you were able to get 2 of the top guys, starting pitchers on the market?
Yeah, it was as active, honestly, conversation period. It feels like the last few deadlines have been that way, honestly, I think for the industry, but I think particularly for us, like we were as active as we've ever been in terms of, interest level in our players. I think this year a little bit different. Over the last 6 years, we've kind of been in that buy mode and pretty clearly a team that could go to the postseason. I think 23 we were a little bit up in the air as well from what that looked like. But there's just a lot of interest from other teams in our players. So we know what we have in the system. It's always good to hear from the industry when there are players in your minor league system that people want. There are a ton of players on the big league team that people were interested. Ultimately, these were the deals that we made that lined up. And again, we feel good about what we have in the farm system. And, hopefully guys that come up and play in Petco, we kept a lot of talent in the farm system here at this deadline. It's this is a period where you get a chance to see how the industry values your players. And it was a very active couple of weeks since the draft.
We'll go to Tom Kralovic, SDUT.
AJ, we know what players you got, and we know what you were looking for in terms of, you mentioned the left-handed bat to go with starting pitching. Can you shed some light on what you accomplished in terms of gathering information that's beneficial? By that, I mean, because you're so active and teams know that you like to make trades and they like your players, I'm thinking you got a lot of good information out of this that beyond the players you got. I mean, I would think that people asked about Mason Miller and Adrian, and you learned a few things. Can you speak to just gathering information and how that helps you going forward?
For sure. I think, a period like the trade deadline, you have your internal ideas and, your scouts and your evaluators go out and give you a sense of what they think about the farm system. But when you get a chance to see what others in the industry feel like about your players, it gives you a very clear picture of how they see your organization. And I think over the last couple of weeks, it was very clear that we had a lot of guys that people have high interest in, both from the major leagues down to the Dominican Summer League. So that's always an interesting process, always a good process. But again, like you said, when you have talent, it gives you the ability to have flexibility and options. I hear at times about, like, hey, we have, some players signed to multi-year deals, and which again, a lot of those guys, the industry spoke in the last week to 10 days that they see a lot of the players we have with their, with everything that comes with those players, contract stats, et cetera, super valuable players. So it enables you to have fun conversation, enables you to consider different options. That's part of Tom what this last couple of weeks is about.
And real quick, do you learn about how the other teams value their own players and prospects that you wouldn't have learned, things you wouldn't have learned without these conversations?
For sure. I mean, it's one thing to see a ranking or a publication, about how somebody values, a player from an outside or from a media chair. But I think when you're there and you're actually talking about, hey, would you do this player for that player, or this is how this is going to line up, or here's players that we like in our system, you get a very clear sense in real time about actual value of your players and other players, and that'll help us in future deadlines and in the off season, et cetera. You always take that information in. Our group does a great job of finding out, and having conversations and dialogue, and hopefully that'll help us down the road when we have other conversations, whether it be this offseason or future trade deadlines.
All right, Alan, AJ Preller, first word since the deadline that passed a couple hours ago.
Makes sense, right? Like I think everything it tracks. AJ Preller, if given an opportunity to buy, and the Padres gave him an opportunity to buy, he was going to buy. He addressed he addressed, I think, the most important need, which most people would agree, which is starting pitching. And he did it in a way without having to give players. The bullpen is still the bullpen. It's still intact. And by the way, it's only going to get better once Jason Adam comes back and give Estrada a little bit of time. It should only get better. And the question's going to be, they didn't get a left-handed bat. They didn't get, a person that they were obviously hoping for. They didn't get a specific. They didn't get additional help to help out with some of their main guys, but you kind of heard what Preller was saying. We feel like the last month they've been a lot better than they have been. I think nobody would have been upset if they added some more to their
I agree. And I do think everyone recognized starting pitching was a prerequisite, and they've addressed it. Yeah. Will it be enough to get into the postseason? And if they do, can they succeed in the postseason? All right, Annie Heilbrunn in 5 minutes, but call right now if you want a free 4-pack of tickets to see Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean August 16th at Petco Park. Great giveaway. Tickets and more info at Ticketmaster.com. We've got a free 4-pack of tickets for caller 7, 877-767-4760. Call right now. 877-767-4760. A 4-pack of tickets to see Luke Bryan and Jason Aldean right here in San Diego. Annie Heilbrunn next. Kevin Acee at 5:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres are in Arizona getting set for game one of their series against the Diamondbacks tonight. It's going to be Michael King going against Brandon Pfaadt. First pitch is at 6:40. The trade deadline came and passed, and the Padres picked up a couple starting pitchers. They acquired left-handed starter Robbie Ray from the Giants and right-handed starter Casey Mize from the Tigers. Other trades today, the Red Sox picked up three-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Orioles. The Giants shipped Luis Arraez to the Phillies, and they also shipped Heliot Ramos to the Yankees. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago. And only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
The MLB trade deadline has passed. Nothing big, right?
Tarik Skubal going to Los Angeles a day and a half before the deadline.
It's official. Adley Rutschman is going to the Boston Red Sox.
Luis Arraez is going to the Philadelphia Phillies.
Meanwhile, some help on the way to Petco Park. Padres get Robbie Ray from the Giants.
The bigger story, obviously, right now for Padres fans that are hoping to see this team get into the postseason is you're now pairing Michael King with Robbie Ray.
Will there be more? We react to moving day in Major League Baseball. Plus, a preview of the series out in Arizona. Now live from the San Diego Sports 760 studios, here's Schaefer and Sliwa.
Final hour on 760 with Schaefer and Sliwa. Big hour. We have colleagues joining us this hour. I don't know if Andy realizes that, but Kevin will join us. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Annie Heilbrunn right now from the UT, kind enough to give us a few minutes. You just heard AJ Preller speak. Annie, we always appreciate you taking time for us. You've covered AJ a lot at these deadlines. What is your initial reaction here? Adding starting pitching, which they needed. What do you make of how the day turned out? And thanks for hopping on.
Always happy to be on with you guys. Yeah, it was an interesting day. I think that Casey Mize coming through with the buzzer beater really changed the trajectory a little bit of how this deadline will be seen. But they get two pitchers who, at least on paper and for the seasons that they've been having, can really help this rotation. And it's a rotation that desperately needs help. It can start to steady the ship a little bit. Their whole pitching chaos thing that they've been doing was never meant to be a long-term solution. And being at the ballpark every day this last week, it's such a delicate thing. You know, I mean, Craig Stammen would answer the questions so you could just see like the light leave his eyes a little bit about, you know, kind of the difficulty of this being long-term and what it might do to pitchers' arms and how it all kind of depended on every guy having a good outing. It could really be a downhill domino effect if it went poorly. So I think for them to stabilize their rotation, and that is even absent of whatever they may or may not get with Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta, at least in theory, should be a very good thing for this team. And with the offense going better, should also kind of add some cohesiveness. Now, I will say, like, the offense, I think we still need to see perform against some of the elite pitchers in the league. And we also need to see these pitchers that they acquired continue to have good seasons. You know, we have no idea. Sometimes trades can be weird, and you just have no idea if the guy is going to work out or not in your, you know, with the last 2 months of the season. But these are veteran pitchers. Or, you know, I don't foresee any issues with them. Mize is being traded for the first time, but Ray has been around forever, and I think that they'll slot in pretty easily and with Ruben Niebla. The other thing I will add very quickly, guys, is I think it's interesting when you contrast it to the Diamondbacks, because the Diamondbacks needed starting pitching, and they only got Lars Nootbaar. They didn't get any pitching, and they were, from what I understand, very interested in Mize. And they had prospects to spend, you know, prospects to give. So I do look at it like from that perspective of, you know, did AJ Preller made his team better, you know, supposedly, and maybe didn't allow the Diamondbacks to get better in some way, and maybe that will have an effect on what we see this week.
That's a good point. Annie Heilbrunn taking some time to join us here on the Schaefer and Sliwa show. Annie, I want to let's rewind back here 10 days ago, before the Padres went out and won 8 of 9 games. You know, things looking kind of bleak right after the All-Star break. You surprised where we're sitting today, where they did end up being buyers, that they had an opportunity to add some starting pitching? It just seems like a week and a half ago, everything was so up in the air. As much as Preller wanted to buy, But to just be sitting here today and kind of seeing how everything just worked itself out, how surprised are you that we're sitting in this position?
I think it's a good point. I mean, it is surprising. 2 weeks ago, by the trade deadline, I think a lot of people had resolved to thinking that this team would not be a playoff contending team. And now there's a very realistic view of seeing them get to the playoffs and maybe even have some kind of a run in the playoffs. And I think that's a definite credit to the Padres for taking matters into their own hands, for the coaching staff to make this whole patchwork pitching strategy, and for the pitching staff to buy in, the offense stepping up, them hitting a part of the schedule where they were able to take advantage of things. And that's not even a diss to them. That's not a negative thing. I mean, every team will face lesser teams, and the Padres did what they needed to do, and they took care of business for the most part, besides like the Royals series. So I think that you've seen that kind of happen, that kind of converge. And then also, look, it's also partly because the rest of the National League has split and they've fallen. And I think that you're going to see some bouncing around. I feel like we all act, and myself included, we have a tendency to act like the trade deadline is where things end. But they've got another 2 months of baseball to play. And so, this thing could flip-flop quite a bit. But part of it is just the National League being somewhat, besides those few spots at the top, being somewhat mediocre in these final spots.
All right, Annie Heilbrunn is with us right now. I'm having a computer issue, Annie, believe it or not, on deadline day of all days to have a computer issue.
Annie, his YouTube video wasn't working. Mine was working great.
His was Alan's.
Mine was, it's as clear as can be.
Here's my question for Annie of the UT with us right now. Why is it every year everyone questions whether AJ Preller will be able to address his needs, even if the system is weakened or 30th in baseball? Yet every year he's able to do this. And to your point, a team like Arizona may have been desperate to address needs and couldn't do it to the same extent as Preller. Is it because
is
it because of his? Is it a willingness? Is it a fearlessness? What allows Preller to basically go to the well each and every year to accomplish things that other teams aren't accomplishing?
It's such a great question, and I think it's a deep dive and make a very good feature. Because if you could get the real truth out of it, right? Because it's so true. I was watching the press conference with the Arizona Diamondbacks GM right before I came on, and he was very melancholy. He had to address the team about not being able to get the pieces. He mentioned the team's playing so well. I don't feel like I did my part. This is Hazen, and and he called the deadline frustrating. And I was thinking that exact same thing, guys. I was thinking, wow, that is such a contrast to AJ Preller. And I do think that, of course, you can debate for an hour about all the reasons Preller has messed up. And then you can debate for another hour about all the reasons Preller has made this team incredible, right? So it's really on both sides. But I think overall, that point that you just made should really be considered. He gets things done. I don't know if it's just the dogged persistence, the fact that he just, really bites into things that he wants and doesn't let go. And then I think also being willing to let go of certain prospects, maybe that other teams wouldn't. But I mean, it's true. We all look at this deadline like, who do they have in the system? Who are they going to give up? And he seemed to be able to get that done, pretty handily. So again, I think we got to see how this all turns out. But in terms of just his willingness to go forward and to get things done, yeah, I mean, this is definitely what you wanted. They didn't get the bat, but I think the bat was more of a pipe dream. The bat was more of a cherry on top. They have been getting better production from their offense and from their left-handers lately. So I think the bat was second to getting the pitching figured out.
Yeah, and I think what you said too, I think it is the latter. I think he's willing to pay the price that maybe somebody else isn't willing to pay. And I think he's clearly done that. And he's okay with the risk that comes with it. And I'm sure there's a lot of people in baseball that are not willing to gamble the way he does. And if you want to use the Diamondbacks as an example of that, but in a sense, it's, you got to pitch. If you got the pitcher they were trying to get, it's almost like you double down right there when you won, because you're going to be going neck and neck with the Arizona Diamondbacks probably the rest of the season. So it's a good observation from there. The one thing I'll throw in, and I think this is a really tough one to gauge, but you know how fans are, and you know how the conversation typically is. What is the bar now as we sit here today? Is the bar simply get in the postseason and anything can happen? Is the bar, well, you got to not only make the postseason, but you got to win that wild card round? Like, just what do you think a San Diegan or a Padre fan can walk away from this season? Is there a world where they can walk away where they feel like, okay, hey, that went better than I thought it would?
Yeah, I think number one, they have to grab hold of this wild card spot and then not let go. This is a team in the Padres that should be separating themselves from teams like the Cardinals and the Nationals and the Pirates. And, the Diamondbacks, I can understand them being in a fight with the Diamondbacks, but they need to distance themselves from the rest of these teams, because otherwise, I don't know how much of a believer you can be if these guys just sort of tread water and flip-flop spots all throughout the rest of the season, the regular season. And then it's just kind of the last one in musical chairs standing is the one that gets in. The Padres have to separate themselves, and they have the kind of roster, the kind of financial buy-in, the kind of expectations where they should separate themselves. Just winning on the deadline, they should separate themselves from the pack here. And that's going to be on them to be able to do. And then I do think they have to make it past the wild card. And the reason I say that is because last year they were internally, and they talked about it inside the organization, disappointed with where they ended up and not making it further into the postseason. So just based on their words, and I think, I think that's fair. They need to get deeper in the postseason. But look, if they make the postseason, they get to say that they made the postseason for the 3 consecutive years, the first time that's ever happened in organization's history. So there's an advantage to them, even if it's just a talking point, to making it in at all, But I think honestly, for the players and for it not just being something that's on like a commercial, I think that for the players in the organization, getting past the wild card, getting at least into the division, hopefully farther than that, is important for this team.
Annie, that's your name. Tarik Skubal.
Yes.
I'll just say, that's my question.
We are on with Annie.
We're on the radio. The 2 words that I'm saying after your name are Tarik Skubal. Go anywhere you want with it.
He's ruining baseball. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
We're on the same page. We are on the same page.
No. People are going to get mad at me right now. I do think there's an argument to be made that other teams could have done this. I think other teams could have made that deal. That deal was weird. The Tigers did get back good prospects, but it's not like the Brewers or other teams couldn't have made that kind of a deal. I do think it was strange that they didn't go up until the deadline. I think it was strange that there was no real bidding war for one of the most important pieces of the trade deadline. All of that was pretty weird. And so you do wonder, what's going on there. And I know Skubal had talked about how he wanted to go to the Dodgers. Maybe both organizations were, or maybe the Tigers were trying to do right by him a little bit too. Sometimes that happens. But at the same time, as much as I can say any organization could do it, the Dodgers can also afford to let people go more easily than other organizations because of the surplus of, resources that they have. So there is a little asterisk next to other organizations could have been able to do this. And I look at it like the Dodgers were always going to be good. Skubal just adds to that. But yeah, it definitely was deflating, I think, for the clubhouse, for everybody watching, when you just it feels like the rich are just getting richer there.
Annie, great stuff. We appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. I didn't have a question, so you did a great job with it. I could have come up with a question about him, but I just wanted to say Tarik Skubal and see where you took it. But
when we have you back on, we'll say radio show, and then we'll just let you take it from there.
We'll just
I like this game. Yeah, just say 2 words and let me kind of just
AJ Preller.
I'll go anywhere I want with it. Yeah.
And Kevin Acee. I'm kidding. Annie, appreciate you doing it. We will do it again soon. Thanks for taking time for us today. We know it's busy.
Have fun with Kevin. Appreciate you guys. Anytime.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Great stuff from Annie Heilbrunn. We haven't gotten to the wrap, which we put together. So let's do that on the other side. We have another giveaway for you this hour as well. That's tickets to see 311. We'll tell you how to win those tickets coming up as well.
Very nice.
311. That's right. Here in San Diego. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Stay with us, Schaefer and Sliwa.
All right, with the iHeartRadio app. Had to listen to Mason Miller. You can stream us wherever you are 24 hours a day. Just search for San Diego Sports 760 to stream us live all day, every day. You can leave your comments for us using that talkback microphone. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want us to talk about. Make us a preset so we can pop up each time you open up that app. San Diego Sports 760, always live on the iHeartRadio app.
I do want to get to the wrap, but I do want to hear the quote you were reacting to, either from Mason Miller or from AJ Preller. I know we don't have the audio from Miller right now.
This one, AJ Preller. I'm just going to read this quote here.
Yeah,
he
sure.
said, AJ Cassavell put this out. He said, "We're trying to win. We don't apologize for it. We're trying to win championships. We're trying to get to the postseason and do it year after year."
Okay. Yeah.
By the way, I like that too, because I think, somebody that's made so many controversial moves.
Yeah.
You can easily say, yeah, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. AJ Preller isn't going to apologize. And frankly, until he's no longer running
that's a good point.
baseball operations for the Padres, he shouldn't, because this is who he is.
Exactly.
The one thing I will say this.
Yeah.
I will say we're trying to win championships. Why don't we say championship?
Championship. And you are falling short. If that is your goal, you are falling short.
And listen, that's okay. If that's their goal, clearly it is. They've been, going all in basically every single year. And we can make an argument whether this is the right strategy or not. But I would even say we're trying to get to the World Series.
Yeah.
Because
win the National League.
Until you do that, that is kind of the next step for the San Diego Padres. And I don't know if that's coming anytime soon, but I don't mind this quote at all. I think there's a piece of AJ Preller that says, this is how I do business. And if you don't like it, that's fine. But I know the only way I got a shot at winning a World Series or a championship is by first making the playoffs. And if I don't make the playoffs, then I don't have that opportunity.
And we are in this weird world where it's like, hey, just get to a World Series. But that's almost harder. It's not. But what I'm about to say, you get the point. It's not harder than winning a World Series getting to one. But it's almost just as hard to get to one, at least in our minds, because of the big, bad LA Dodgers. So it seems like that is the real hurdle, although they overcame that hurdle in 2022.
But here's another...
And didn't get to World Series.
Here's another, I think, talking point. It's not like the Padres have been knocking on the door and they've been right there. They're within the vicinity.
In the area.
They're in the area,
yeah.
right? But at the end of the day,
you're right. They're not the second best team every year.
Two World Series in their franchise history.
70 years or 60 years.
So making a World Series gives you a legitimate shot to win a World Series.
Right. Not making a World Series is harder to win one.
So it's okay to say our goal is to get to a World Series and then eventually hopefully win one. But championships...
I agree.
Pump the brakes.
We won't have time for the wrap right now. Here's the question I want to ask to you. Mm-hmm. As we sit here present day in the midst of the greatest Dodger dynasty of our lifetime.
Yeah.
We all do recognize, though, they're not. I'm asked this question both seriously and facetiously. Forget the CBA for a second. Just throw it out for a moment. And knowing everything you know about the Dodgers, we still all agree they're not going to play for 8 consecutive World Series, right? Like we all do agree with that, right? They're not going to play for 6 of 7, are they? I'm asking the question. Are they going to play for 9 of 10, 7 of 10, 6 of 10? What is it going to look like? My point is, if they're not going to be in 7 straight, presumably there's going to be other teams out of the National League that are getting there this decade. They're not going to be the only team to get there the remainder of the decade, are they? If they are, that's a whole other conversation.
No, they're not. But I think the CBA is an important element.
It may be. It may be.
I do believe so. I really do believe that the CBA will be an important element of that.
Yeah. Now, could they get there this year? Yeah, of course. Is their favorite to get there this year. And they might be favored to get there next year, regardless of what happens with the CBA.
Yeah, I just think, I think at the end of the day, all you can worry about here in San Diego is you just got to worry about your squad. And the Padres had glaring holes 24 hours ago. And they're going to still have holes 24 hours from
later.
now. But I think that you got something that you really needed, which was some starting pitching. And I think, something that Preller mentioned when we played that conversation about maybe about 15, 20 minutes ago or so, there are guys that can have a significant impact on this team that could be coming back. So let's see. And I'm not even talking about just Pavetta and Musgrove, because I think those are the ones where we'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow they're in Lake Elsinore, right?
Yeah,
I think
they're appearing, both of them.
Both of them will be appearing. So we'll see how that goes. What's the recovery look like? Are they a step closer?
Yeah.
Is there a setback? By the way, if there's a setback, we had our answer.
Forget about it. Yeah.
Right. But there's also other players, whether that's Jason Adam,
Miguel Andujar,
Samad Taylor, which I'm not 100% sure, what the deal is there. So there's some other players that I think can legitimately help them that will eventually come back.
All right, Kevin Acee is going to join us on the other side. I do want to remind you, we have a 4-pack of tickets to see 311 and Dirty Heads. This is August 19th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. If you want a free 4-pack of tickets, this is all you got to do. Open up the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red microphone, and tell us why you want to go. Just your name and why you want to go. By doing that, you might walk away with the 4-pack of tickets. We'll announce a winner in the next 30 minutes. So if you want a 4-pack of tickets to see 311, August 19th, open the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red talkback mic, and tell us why you want to see that show, and you're entered automatically to win. We'll have a winner coming up in 30 minutes. But Kevin Acee, one of the busiest men in San Diego today, covering the Padres, AJ Preller, will join us next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
Here's what's trending from the iHeart Sports Network, presented by iHeartAdvertising.com. The Padres are in Arizona getting set for game one of their series against the Diamondbacks. It's going to be Michael King going against Brandon Pfaadt. First pitch is at 6:40. Trade deadline's come and gone. The Padres picked up a couple starting pitchers. They got Robbie Ray from the Giants and right-hander Casey Mize from the Tigers. Other trades today, the Red Sox picked up three-time All-Star catcher Adley Rutschman in a trade with the Orioles, and the Giants sent Heliot Ramos to the Yankees and Luis Arraez to the Phillies. Run a business and not thinking about radio? Think again, because people are listening to radio more today than they did 20 years ago, and only iHeartRadio connects with more Americans than TV, digital, and even social. Learn how radio can help your business. Call 844-844-iHeart.
All right. Kevin Acee's been busy. AJ Preller, the GM of the Padres, also has been busy. We appreciate Kevin taking some time for us just a few hours after the deadline as the Padres get ready for the Diamondbacks. So I'll just start with your reaction to the work that Preller and the front office do. They get Robbie Ray and Casey Mize. They seem to be pretty sizable additions for a struggling rotation. What's your first glance reaction to how this all played out?
I think there's huge rotation or huge additions because of the situation and because they're good veteran pitchers. We'll see if they're enough, right? Like the Padres, there's no other way to say it. Like they failed to upgrade their offense, the left-handed bat, which they were trying to do. Now, I don't mean that they failed today, at making their team better, or that, I know exactly why those things didn't happen. I think what you have to do is you have to go, okay, they tried, the deal wasn't out there for whatever AJ Preller thought the deal should be. And you have to, at some point, trust that if there was a deal to be made, AJ Preller was going to make it. And so you didn't do that. But what you did do is you said, I'm going to go get two of the better available starting pitchers to make the weakness on my team into a strength of my team. And I mean, I don't see how you argue with that.
Kevin, you surprised Adrian Morejon still on the team, or because of that 8-1 stretch, the further, the closer, I guess you could say, the Padres started getting to the Diamondbacks and the Phillies, the more likely it was he was going to stay?
Yeah, like I would have been floored beyond belief if Mason Miller went, and I would have been shocked if Morejon went, and especially like with each passing day, it seemed. And then, I mean, my goodness, as if we didn't already know like what he did the last couple of days,
Sure.
And then he's asked to do what he did the last couple of days. It's kind of like when you saw Mason Miller go 5 outs on Saturday, and then you saw Morejon go 4 outs back to back. You're like, yeah, ain't happening. I mean, you already knew it wasn't, but you're like, yeah, ain't happening. No one was, basically people had said neither one was going anywhere, though they weren't like full out saying it, but enough that I really, really felt confident that neither one of those guys was going anywhere. And then also in my head is like, this is what AJ Preller does. He builds the deep back of the bullpen. He's not going to go out and try to make his team better unless he absolutely had to. And clearly he didn't. He's not going to go out and try to make his team better to try to get to the playoffs while undermining the strength of his team, which is the strength that he has repeatedly built. So it just didn't make sense.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. I'm wondering, Kevin, if you have any insight or feel for is a little nuance, but in the Robbie Ray deal, the fact that the Giants are taking some of the remaining salary, the Padres are taking some of it. How does that relate to the return? I don't have a great feel for the players that are going. I think 2 top 10 Padres prospects, including a 17-year-old. Was that potentially the Giants wanted to take some of the money to get better prospects in return?
Yeah, they were going to have to if they were going to deal with the Padres. I wrote that the other day, but like they probably were going to have to anyway. I mean, the guy's been pitching really well, but there's some metrics that are down. I mean, he's 34, whatever. He's a rental. There's all sorts of reasons, and every team's going to have their different takes on what's important to them and what's the non-negotiable for them. But it was absolutely, and I don't know what it was. But guaranteed, based on having heard it, and also just how it goes, the prospects, like, I don't know what that meant. One more was put in there, or 2 better guys, or whatever, but the prospects are better because those guys took on half of
whatever it is. At this point, I think there's like 7.4 left on his contract, and then a bonus, I think, for getting traded, basically. And so they took on $5 million, let's say, or 4.5.
Kevin, a couple things, one or two things stick out to you in AJ Preller's interview, getting a chance to address, obviously, the media. We played a portion of it here, and we read one of the quotes about basically not apologizing to anybody for what their goal is to obviously try to win a championship. But are there some things that stuck out in Preller's conversation?
Well, that's my lead quote. And if I can give you some insight into that quote, now I'm speaking for AJ, and I want to make it clear I'm not speaking for AJ, but I know him. I know him pretty well. I know how he feels. He is so unafraid to do what the rest of us would call kick the can down the road, that like he just doesn't really get the whole idea of people being concerned about sending away prospects for proven major leaguers. And so that's what he's not going to apologize, because his focus is on getting to the playoffs in 26. And he believes in himself and his group so much that like they know what they have. Like, it was laughable to me. I think I've talked about it here. I wrote about it. Like I didn't understand the doubting of his ability to pull off a deal. Now we can then get into the conversation where you can say it was too much, or I hate how he does it. That's no. That's not what I'm saying. But the doubt that he would be able to accomplish much of what he wanted to do just because they've given away so much in the past and their farm system's depleted, like he was going to be able to do this. And so inside of that quote was a little like, this is what I do.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Again, Padres Diamondbacks, by the way, critical series coming up in just about an hour or so from Arizona. I mean, Kevin, you bring it back to the field. At Fangraphs right now, the Padres have a 29% chance of making the playoffs. That's well up from where they were just a week ago, but still, you recognize that it's not a formality at this point. If I were to fast forward, though, and say the moves and the way the team is playing is enough, how do you think they're constructed for the postseason, let's say this time around, as opposed to even a year ago when they lost in 3 games to the Chicago Cubs?
Well, I think starting pitching is better as long as everybody's healthy, right?
Yep.
And I think in the balance, I don't know if the offense is better. It's better right now, but that's 2 months from now. So, that was the other argument I didn't understand. First off, the team was going to the rotation was going to look significantly different. So people saying they're not a playoff team, I didn't really understand that, because, I agree with you, but it's going to look different after the trade deadline. And there is the possibility they start to play better. And guess what? They did start to play better. So now the two combinations has you going, they could be a playoff team. I'll be interested to see. I don't know exactly. I'm not a supercomputer. I'm barely a computer. But like how these simulations work, but I know it's like they run 10,000 simulations based on what your depth is and, your schedule and all that stuff. So if, let's say, they win tonight, plus you have the two guys, so your rotation's better, like I'll be interested what the odds jump is tonight if they move into a tie with the Diamondbacks, possibly the Phillies, for that final wild card spot. Like, I'll be interested, right? Like, did they get that much better in the eyes of the computer?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Kevin, just to kind of go back here, and I know I don't think much has changed, but can you just walk us through, for some of our listeners as well, next steps here for Joe Musgrove and for Nick Pivetta? I know they're both going to be at Lake Elsinore tomorrow, but can you just again reiterate what those steps are from here?
Yeah. So a rehab start every 5 or 6 days should put them in line to, now this is barring setback, but should put them in line to be ready to go the 21st, 22nd. And obviously Nick, if you want us to get into that, then he needs to go by the 22nd, but there's no game on the 20th. And so, I'm saying that just because if you count the every 5 days, 3 rehab starts starting tomorrow with what should be or could be the equivalent of 3 innings, at least 3 ups, right? Go 45 pitches, get up 3 times. So it's like, all right, cool. My body's ready for 3 innings, right? Okay. Next time 4. Okay. Next time 5. So they're basing it on pitches, not innings strictly. So then when they come back, they're reasonably assured that they can go 5 innings, be a real starting pitcher. And so if everything goes according to plan, we're talking about, I don't know what you would call, I'd call that late mid-August,
All right, here's my thought, and that obviously that's so impactful potentially. Although I do feel like I feel like he answered the question today, Kevin, in terms of what he's seeking out of Pivetta and Musgrove by going out and getting Ray and Mize. Does that make sense? Like that's a pretty signinot statement, I would say, with the moves that he made here today as it relates.
John, do you say that because of the playoffs? Like, not only do you need the strength of that, you're not counting on those guys, but then now you're thinking King, you're thinking King, Ray, Mize 100%. As your top 3 playoff guys.
I do, and it's almost hard for me to imagine, even if Pivetta returned and was effective enough, that he's going to supplant any of those 3 if they are healthy and effective in pitching the way they've pitched. That's how I see it right now.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched since April. Joe hasn't pitched since. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Now, I also see both of those guys as, I'm not saying both of them would be, but I see them as effective bullpen pieces for the postseason.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. My final one, and just I'm curious to get your perspective on it. Not that you're covering it, but Arizona, who's in this dead heat with San Diego, doesn't necessarily execute the way the Padres did. The Padres, for whatever you think about AJ Preller, he oftentimes will execute this time of year. How do you think that impacts this race right now? Arizona's played well, but they didn't make the moves to necessarily put themselves in a better position.
Yeah, well, I think they're a better team right now, but then that happened, right? And there's some of it, like I think Torey Lovullo is a good manager. I think they got some really solid players. I've always kind of wondered, like, how are they doing this? So who knows, like, how sustainable, because they've fallen off before. They've also surged at the end of the season. It's crazy. I don't know. When I say it's crazy because, like, I think they were in on some of the same players. I think they got one of them that maybe, but like they got Newbar, right? I don't know that the Padres were huge on him, but so they got that. Okay, well, I think they were looking for pitchers too, and like they weren't able to do it. And I just heard that they weren't thrilled about like their haul, like they wanted to do better. I guess that sort of sounds obvious, but you know what I mean? Some clubs are going to come out of it and say, yeah, we're good. And I think that now, as I always say, we all say that. John, you know how I feel about the trade deadline. If there were a trophy for this, the Padres' second floor offices would be full of trade deadline trophies. There's not. So the office has no trophies. So, we'll see.
Kevin, final one from me. Do we expect, do we have any idea, or is it way too soon, on Robbie Ray, Casey Miz being a part of this series against Arizona?
Yeah, you know what? I think that Ray could easily be here tonight and pitch tomorrow. I don't have any insight on that. All right. And then didn't he get held out last week? So, I mean, both of them appear like they could pitch here, I would think, but I do not have insight on that yet.
It does make sense, right? When you line it up, it looks like they could pitch. We'll see in this series in Arizona in the desert. Kevin, great reporting. Always appreciate you taking time for us. We'll do it later on in the week.
Right on. See ya.
Alan, how about the wrap on the other side? Plus 311 tickets, a 4-pack of tickets to see 311.
Nationals.
Or the National. Don't worry about that right now. Just worry about the Padres. Worry about it. But worry about the Padres
stare at
too.
the Phillies score. Not good.
All right. The wrap on the other side, 311 tickets as well. If you want them, open up the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red talkback mic, tell us your name and why you want to go. By doing that, you're entered automatically for a 4-pack of tickets to see 311 on August 19th in San Diego. We'll announce the winner of that coming up on the other side as well here on Schaefer and Sliwa. All right. We have a winner of 311 tickets, don't we? All right. Here's our winner of the 311 tickets, Alan. Jared in, of all places, San Diego.
Let's go, Jared.
Jared in San Diego, congratulations. You're going to go see 311 Dirty Heads, August 19th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. 4-pack of tickets, by the way, Alan.
Jared, that's a good day.
That's a
good Monday.
Is that what it is, a Monday?
Monday.
I don't think that's right.
Trade deadline.
Oh, it's a good Monday today, but the show is not a Monday.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm saying a good Monday for him.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
I thought you were joking around. I had no idea.
No, because I thought you were saying that's going to be a good Monday. I'm like, no, 14 days from now is not. Anyway, it's a Wednesday, the show. All right, we haven't, all the excitement of the trade deadline, we haven't gotten to this, Brent.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Are you ready for football? The NFL starts this week.
Yeah, NFL's on Thursday, right?
Is it Thursday? I was going to ask you, what day is it?
Okay,
The Canton game?
Yeah, I think this is the Hall of Fame game. I'm going to be completely honest here. No, I'm not ready. Like, clearly I'm not ready.
What are you going to do to get ready?
I'm saying that I need that game to happen. I need a couple preseason games to happen. I need to get a couple weeks into getting used to watching NFL again.
Before you're ready.
And then I'll slowly get ready.
Do you know who's playing real quick? Don't look.
I will never be as ready as back in the day, but nothing we do.
Why? What happened?
Who's playing? I'll go Giants. I don't know, the Cowboys.
Wrong.
Pittsburgh.
Keep naming teams.
Baltimore.
Keep naming. Just
Miami.
No. Keep naming NFL teams.
Chiefs.
No.
Broncos.
No.
Jacksonville. Carolina. Packers.
Carolina. It's Carolina and Arizona.
Okay. I got
in
it.
the Hall of Fame
I got
game. I am ready for college football. I will be ready for the NFL. But remember, college starts 2 weeks before the NFL.
Yeah.
And college's week 0 is 4 weeks from this past Saturday.
College, I'm in.
So 26 days.
College, I get excited about. NFL takes
a little bit
Just
long.
a little bit.
Do you get excited for week 0?
Yes.
I don't
personally, but I'm a psycho.
I know you are. They don't have big enough matchups yet for week
give me
0
New Mexico State Liberty on CBS Sports Network. I'm all in.
Yeah, Brent, I'm with
point.
you on that one, brother. I'm probably not going to get too excited for week 0.
What if it's like a game in Dublin between like Kansas State and Iowa State? It's something like that.
It does, where it is doesn't matter, but who's playing is what will excite me.
It's one thing if it's Notre Dame in Ireland
Sure.
because it's Notre Dame.
There you
but
go.
what the hell is the connection to Kansas State and Ireland?
North Carolina, TCU, Aviva Stadium, Dublin, Ireland, 9 a.m. Saturday, August 29th. Sign me up. I won't sleep the night before.
I'll be all right on that one. But I want to know about what happened on Monday. But like really quickly, I want you to tell me.
Next question.
What do you guys make of SDFC's tie in Minnesota?
You watch that game at
They
all?
trailed 1-0, and I saw some of the game. I did have it on. They had the penalty shot to tie it, right?
Bro, they tied it 1 apiece. 90th minute, they get a break, and it's 2-on-1.
Yeah.
And basically an opportunity, like you got to hit the shot.
Yeah.
Hit the freaking top of the bar.
They're not going to see it.
I know. Hit the top of the bar. So they didn't go up 2-1. They didn't get the 3 points. But if you told me going into that game we tied, I would be fine with a point. Minnesota's a playoff team. Yeah. Dallas is a playoff team. They beat Dallas the week before. I think it was a week before.
Yeah.
So they've got 4 points in their last 2 matches. Yeah. The problem, they're still in 12th.
Yeah, now you're in the second half of the year. Now
so you got all these other spots, like Galaxy's in from. There's some Minnesota's in from. There's some teams. So I'm good with the point because I think it's tough to win on the road. But bro, you go see those highlights. They had a legitimate shot of winning that game.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of I'll take the point on the road, but at some point we know in the second half of the year to get where they want to get, we need 3 points on the road too. There'll be some matches you need 3 points on the road.
They need some things to go their way.
Yeah, some breaks.
Based off of all these other breaks that haven't gone their way.
Next question.
Speaking of Notre Dame, are you guys glad to see the USC Notre Dame series renewed?
See this 4 years, it'll be back beginning in 2030.
Saw that 2030. You got to really wait that long?
I know, it's a long time.
Just get this thing started. By the way, just don't tell me today. Report it in 2029.
How did they cancel the Notre Dame USC series?
I know.
What world are we living in?
Idiotic. I am glad it's back. I mean, I think it's just like we were just talking about. If you tell me there's a game on between USC and Notre Dame because of the nostalgia, because of the history, I will watch it. So yeah, I'm glad it's back.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is obviously one of those historic series that is played. It feels like for forever. I know about conference realignment and how that's changed everything, but give me a break.
find a way to make this work. The fact that you had to miss how many years? I missed 4 years. 6, 7, 8, 9.
Dumb.
Why?
Dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but I'm glad it's back. Final question.
Do you guys think the Padres had a good trade deadline?
Yeah, good is the right word.
I do think so, too.
Yeah, good is the right word. I mean, listen, they got two legitimate pitchers, so let's see how they end up working into the rotation. I do get it. You know, the bats, that concerns me. Of course it does. But I will say this, if A.J. Preller didn't get a bat, then something must have happened. Would you have been better off? What if they got one of these two starting pitchers? What if it was just Robbie Ray, but they used their other assets to go get a bat? Would you rather than a left-handed bat? Would you rather have done that?
I'll take this.
You take this.
It's kind of like the defense wins championships theory. It doesn't mean it's always right. I just feel like it starts with starting pitching. They've gotten too cute. It's worked beautifully for 9 days. The pitching chaos thing. I'm just worried when you play Arizona.
Of course,
you know,
that's
in
not
LA. It's like
it's not sustainable.
I'll start with the starting pitching because I feel like every season always ends for teams with running out of starting pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Like there'll be something that happens, then you don't have enough starting pitching, and then your season is over. Yeah, I'm with you. Their offense isn't great, but I'll take the starting pitching additions as opposed to the offense.
And is the idea like what was one bat really going to change your entire lineup? Where one starting pitcher can. One starting pitcher can be the difference.
I mean, Robbie Ray has been going 6 innings on average. He has 9 quality starts this year. You know how many Michael King has? 8. He has really been an effective frontline starter for a bad team. Like, does that change things? Is he going to be just as effective on a team that's contending? But Ray and Mize, to me, represents a good day. To your point, is it the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of the franchise? No. But does it address their need? Yeah, I think it does. So now can they win tonight?
Our Nationals choked, man.
The Phillies are on hard times, but they've hit a grand slam tonight to pull ahead of Washington.
They're 4-3 now, and you go look at those standings. You're one back of Philly and Arizona, so I don't really care. I know the Padres got to do their thing, but for the love of, you're up 3-0 for the entire game, and then this.
Right, like the last thing we need today is a Phillies win coupled with a Diamondbacks win against San Diego.
Yeah.
We'll take the Phillies win if the Padres win.
Yeah,
I will absolutely sign up for Phillies wins if the Padres are winning again. And the winner of this series, it just feels like he's kind of in control to make the playoffs. And that's way too premature. But if someone does win 3 games, they might not. It feels like that team's in decent shape.
I'll take a 2-2 split and call it a day.
You take the split now?
Oh, yeah.
I've called it before the House of Horrors. I say that same thing about Coors Field. But over the years, Phoenix can Chase Field, it can be challenging.
I agree with you.
For the Padres.
I agree with you. And that place, I was telling you this before. I wish I could have gone to a game at this series because I think it's a fun series. Like, these are the two teams that before the season started, this was kind of like, hey, who's second in the NL West?
We did say that,
And whoever is going to be second in the NL West probably is grabbing that second playoff spot. Now, you could get 3 in the NL West if Philly collapses or something along those lines, but this is going to be a really, really entertaining series. And I think for the Padres, obviously, especially coming off of the trade deadline, especially winning 8 of 9 games, having some momentum, picking up 2 starting pitchers, this could be, they're Michael King on the mound tonight. Like, this is let's start getting into a position where you can hopefully be in position to be in the wild card, not chasing the wild card.
You make the point. They've won 8 of 9. A win tonight, the Padres in that last 10 column would say 9-1. If they win tonight, they'd be 9-1. As good of a stretch as they've had really all year, even with the 19-9 start. All right, great show. Good stuff. If you missed anything, sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. You can check us out on podcast platforms as well. We're back tomorrow at 3 p.m. talking more about the Padres and the Diamondbacks. All right, for Brent and Alan, I'm John. Keep it here.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.